of these NPCs that have just randomly started doing that sound have like listened to the same radio station or like televised program.
It's a customary greeting in vacuo.
Do. Yeah, customary. It's one of those texts that just kind of got everywhere.
Or you know how different cultures have their different, like way of saying It's just their way of saying Vacuo's way of saying
It's true. Which
is basically what you're doing.
Yeah, it's true. And all that was caught on the recording. Hello and welcome back to Kyogre Studios Remnant Lunar Archon session 67, which if you hadn't figured it out already, I do a lot, and I do it right before every single session without fail.
What's the date?
Oh, yep. Thank you for reminding me. It is Friday the 9th of June, 4/17, post-schism at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, which moves right into people doing the recap, which I think the recap was done last time by Chris. Is that right?
I can't remember.
That's what my memory says. Does anyone else remember?
I think it was me.
Was it
yeah,
you?
I think it was Jack.
Alright, then I'll roll a d4 that Chris will be included in, and Jack will not. Hey, Jaislyn, you want to give a recap?
Sure. So we left that place that had a whole lot of things that happened. Schist?
Vane.
I'm bad with names.
Vane.
Oh, it was Vane.
Yeah,
Now we're in the main city, the capital city, where the queen is. The queen is coming.
Vacuo.
Vacuo. And so we got there, and we have like a list of things that we're gonna do. We're gonna talk to people, which we have some talk to people, but also there's like a party to attend. And now we've learned of this like race that we're competing in. And what was it, like the Garand and the Gambler and what was the other team? I can't remember. It was Thicket. We came up with a good name for Thicket right before I went to bed.
Oh, I can't remember now.
I can't believe I forgot.
It was like the forest or something.
It was like. No.
It was really clever too.
It's Hedge.
Yeah, I know. I came up with it. I can't remember what it was though.
Okay, we'll think of it.
The hedge.
Oh yeah,
Hedge.
hedge. Yeah. That was good.
Dug in the hedge.
And so we're gonna compete in that. We also talked to oh my goodness, I had her name Asuka. And we told her about Thicket's Grim. And we talked about the dude. Oh, we figured out that two people were married that should have always, like, obviously been married. It was, Asuka's master. His name was like Samuel or something.
Simeon.
And the strong lady in Bane, the Lord Lady Librarian.
Yep.
I'm
know her
super duper bad at names.
Sasha.
Yeah. Sasha. That's why I couldn't remember it, because there wasn't an English. It is not English, but like it is already a name, a fantasy name, so I didn't connect it to. Anyway.
That's a great recap. Continue.
I don't think much more happened. We did some shopping, I think.
We killed all the younglings.
No.
No younglings were harmed in the making of this game.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Yeah, y'all signed up for the race. You figured out race things. You went shopping at the Pieces of Avalon. You got the sword. Started cooking so that it could be repaired. And I think you're picking that up on Monday? I believe it was Monday morning, either that or Sunday evening. Picking up the fixed Shattered Memory, the no longer Shattered Memory, and whatever its name is going to be. And then, yeah, you talk to Asuka. You have a meeting at 5:15 Saturday morning at the bottom of the clock tower to end up going and speaking to Simeon. And I believe
Wait, did we talk to Asuka or was it Sylvia?
You talked to Asuka.
Yeah, we haven't talked to Sylvia yet.
You have not spoken to Sylvia since you've been here. Fuck, Asuka. You talked to her.
I mean, she could be next on the agenda after we talk to Simeon in the morning.
It's entirely up to y'all, because at this point, what would y'all like to do? It is 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Well, we were headed to the entertainment district or whatever, and the what was the place? There was a place that I can't seem to find in my notes. Do.
It's spreading. The disease is spreading.
We were. Oh, where was it? It was. I didn't write it down.
Check your messages
Like-
local.
Like a hall. I don't know.
Message is local.
You said check it before you actually sent anything.
Well, I thought I had already sent it, but it turns out it was left out of the initial message that just has all the list of landmarks that you would know.
The Moonstone Muse Theater.
That's the one. That sounds.
The theater. So yeah, we need to go check that out and see if we can perform.
I like
What are
preform.
those? Preform. We're gonna preform before we perform.
Okie doke.
Alrighty.
Said that you started your summer vacation.
I need to double check something.
But what time is it again?
4. So
4 o'clock. Okay.
yeah, so we can go over there and just like see about like while people are getting ready to enjoy their weekend, their rush hour home, the traffic and news at 5.
So, Ron and I at least will head over there. I don't know if anyone else is coming.
Is everyone
wants
going
to
with?
come with. I cannot speak today.
Wait, where are people going?
To the theater.
Oh. Why?
The entertainment district. We're gonna try to see about making some money, possibly also renting the stage or whatever, so that we can try to basically have like Lollapalooza or whatever.
Okie doke. You would get
Yeah.
to
I'll go with them.
as
Why
you
not?
get toward the entertainment district. John leading the way, of course. He knows the paths. He knows the space. It is quite crowded, especially as you get over there around 5-ish, we'll say. Seems like a lot of performances are starting very soon. You see various different places, some smaller, some that are a little more than a bar with a stage, others that seem to be full, effectively auditoriums that people are entering into. Some people doing music, some people actually doing magic tricks, not magic, but sleight of hand. And as you approach the probably the largest building, or at least a very tall, looks like to be 3-4 stories tall, large drapes coming out from the sides and the front, pulled off to the sides, effectively making an opening like you would see on a stage, but over the front of the building. Windows that have shades that are closed, of course. As it goes down to the front, there is a statue that is coming out of the front of the building of what appears to be a very elven sort of woman, but it's basically in the top half of an elven woman leaning outward, her hand reaching upward, and then the tips of her fingers seem to be almost shining, or at least the effect of whatever they have on it is making her hand glow as she reaches out toward the street. Under her is the main wall of the front, that on each side of which is a large set of double doors. There are quite a few people either lining up or working their way inside. To the left and right of the sets of doors, there are windows that are open that appear to effectively be booths where there seem to be ticket salesmen trying to sell whatever remaining tickets may be there. You see one of them is actually closed. The other one has a human man that is talking to one of the customers, presumably trying to sell them tickets to get inside. There is a banner atop the front. Let me grab the name. The Folly of the Fairy Court is written on a banner that is hanging out over the two doors.
Can we make a check to see if we know that story?
Sure, go ahead.
What am I doing?
It would be... Oh, let's see. It would probably just be a... What's a fun intelligence-based performance check.
Oh, look at that, man. I said that right as you said it.
Yeah.
That's delightful.
I mean, it makes sense to me. If it's learned, a play, it seems like as a theater kid, that'd be the most understandable thing.
Oh, let's start the game right.
Natural 20. Since it is a called for check, you can go ahead and gain a hero point. John does not know. If anyone else has performance, you can go ahead and make an intelligence-based performance check if you are proficient in it. If you are not, you probably wouldn't know. Or at least have a higher DC if you don't have that. Or rather the same DC, because bonuses and all that jazz. But, Garon, you would vaguely recall having read this play, effectively reading the transcript of it. It is a comedy. Slight dramatic elements near the beginning and the end. It is about a human who walks through a fairy circle and is teleported to the Feywild, where two different fair ladies are effectively spend the majority of the play fighting over him, with various pranks and jokes. It's very whimsical. It's very comedic. At the end, after desperately, he wants to return home because he does have people he knows and cares about and wants to come back to the material plane. Eventually, after an impassioned speech, the two fair ladies concede and help him return back to the material plane. But the majority of it is two rival fairy factions, or fairy houses, comedically trying to win him over.
Huh. Right on. Is it typically well received, or is it or maybe has it not, is it like an older one that maybe isn't done all the time, or?
It is a classic. You wouldn't necessarily know how it goes in vacuo. It was one that wasn't particularly enjoyed by the elves just because they had a lot of respect for the Fae where you grew up in that particular village that you lived in. So you wouldn't necessarily know outside of that. Not in any big cities or anything, but it seems to be popular tonight. It looks like there's some people still slowly filtering in with their own tickets to get inside.
Okay, I'll see if I'll talk to John about it and see if I can trigger any memories for him to see if he has heard of it or whatever. But I'll also explain to him that and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Micah. But I'd explain that it's definitely a regional type play, because where I came from, they probably would have looked at it with disdain. Because it maybe to them it would be too mocking and too playful about something that they view a little bit more highly.
Whereas John, you, with the memory being jogged, you probably would have, given your role, you haven't seen it performed, but you do recall that, at least back when you lived here, there were a few times growing up, not every year, but every 4 or 5 years, it would cycle through and be performed again for the course of about a month. As it would shift, at least at the Moonlight Muse. You didn't go here very often. You might have been once, maybe twice, to an actual play, as it is slightly more on the expensive side per person. With... Dude... Oh. Let's see. There's an average price, theater prices, da-da-da-da. The average seat is probably about a gold. Of course, some nicer ones you can purchase refreshments and everything, but it is expensive. People will save up money to come, but it wasn't something you and your family did very often. But you would have seen the signs that this had been done here a couple of times, the Moonlight Muse. You may have been to other performances. There are smaller theaters in the entertainment district, a couple of them, but this is the place.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
could. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I think this is we ought to talk to the owner.
Yeah, we could speak with the ticket box and find out if they are particularly receptive to performance in general, or if they are more of the business mindset. And if it's the latter, it could be fun to just, begin playing nearby, as people might be heading in, and instead they are distracted by a great performance.
Just like a street performance?
Yeah. I don't know
Might- Might
this-
be better place to do a street performance at the end of a show when people are filtering out. Because if they're filtering in, they've got places to be. If they're filtering out, they're just going home.
Yeah, but my point is that they'd be home. They'd be wanting to go home and be tired, and they might not appreciate the song, the music, the performance as well. But if they are going to look for a performance and they are planning for an evening at the theater, and then they hear just exquisite music on their way in, they might walk in late, and that might be one playful way to maybe teach someone a little bit of manners if they have the need. Again, it's more of a playful sort of thing. If we go to the ticket box, we go to the owner, manager, or whatever, and they are not the most jovial, then just a little lot. Well, you're not the only ones out there who like to perform, that sort of thing. That's all. It's playful. If it's not your alley, that's fine. I'm just hoping to continue to make a name for what I'm hoping to do.
And I get that. I don't know. I feel like we would draw a bigger crowd if we did it after a performance rather than before. That's just my opinion. I mean, we can try it, but we're here for the foreseeable future. So I mean, we could try it both ways.
Hey,
See which
Garon,
pays out better.
Yeah, Doug.
is this what some people might refer to as poking the owlbear?
It's more like good-natured rivalry. You drum up business. There's a small subset of musical genre where their entire, well, not entire, but about half of the music and storytelling involves effectively criticisms and or critiques or counter ideas to other performers, and it's called having beef, and it's just it's a funny way to effectively drum up interest in business, because it's like, oh, what are they gonna say next? Oh no, that's crazy. Oh, can you believe that? And it's its own form of entertainment. And so again, it's only a what if. What if we go there and they are rude and dismissive? then be like, well, maybe you shouldn't be as rude and dismissive to anyone who's offering to work alongside you. Maybe you need to be a little bit more humble. Maybe you are great, but it doesn't mean that no one else can also be great. Does that make sense? And by the way, you are muted, so.
Yes, I think.
Well, again, it's not a guarantee, and I think that probably the best idea would be to, wherever we were to perform, it would be in the earlier, so that way people can come by, and then they can carry on their enjoyment to the show and think, man, it's been a really great day. I got to hear fantastic performers, singers, lutists and so forth, and now I'm getting to enjoy this delightful play. Making a full day of entertainment can be very nice. Well, John, yeah, if you want, go ahead, lead the way, and we will speak and ask.
So, I mean, do we want to? So we want to ask the shop, or not the shop, the owner first. If we can perform. If he says no, we perform on the side.
I think the idea would be, what.
Just for my clarification.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to eventually. I mean, I don't know if we're like, hey, we need to speak with the manager. No, I don't think it's that. It's more like, we go to the ticket box, ask if the owner manager has time to meet with us so we could discuss renting for like the afternoons or something as a warm up for anyone who might be coming to the show. We could even play pieces from the show, in fact, some of the orchestral pieces. But if they are cantankerous or problematic, then I don't mind letting them know that that's not the best way to approach the entertainment business.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to lead the way with that, or I can ask. So, I mean, whatever you want to do, man.
I just to the city, so it's more like you go and we figure it out together.
All right. Well, let's go up there and see if we can find the owner. I guess yeah. John will walk up to the ticket box.
The human man, after waiting a few moments for a couple of people to go through talking, some decide not to purchase tickets, and several of them do. Hello, Wilnet. What can I do for you? Are you here for the show? We have a fine selection for you adventurers.
Not looking to watch tonight. We were actually wanted to.
That's a shame. Well, if you come back, should be for the rest of the month, through the weekends, Friday to Sunday, the rest of the whole month. We'd be happy to have you. It performs every night, starting at about 6:30.
Well, that's good. I look forward to seeing it one of these nights. But we actually wanted to speak to the owner if he is around. Not a complaint or anything. We wanted to talk business.
I can send someone to find him. Is there a particular reason I can give?
We just have a performance he might be interested in, and so we wanted to speak with him about that.
And do you have a name for your troupe?
Do we have a name?
I mean, we could simply we could simply be the messenger band. Ron Demon Star and John Helston.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
As you write that down, I will send that to someone. Or with someone. He typically prefers to watch at least part, or at least speak to the guests. Wind down a few minutes before the show begins. So hopefully he will be able to step out here for a few moments within the next 25 to 30 minutes, should he choose to. I make no perfect promises. I don't own the joint. I just work here. But but I can send it to Mr. Geppetto for you.
That's great. You freaking named him Geppetto. Awesome. Well, if he can't get to us, could you let us know a better time that works, or...
He often takes interviews, requests like this. It is quite common for him to, unless they have a particularly notable name or quite popular, or grease the wheels, per se. He normally has those types of meetings during the early parts of the week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sorts of times, and the actors are preparing, practicing their performance. Occasionally private shows, but those are quite expensive. So if it doesn't work out tonight, it would likely be best sometime in the morning or early afternoon at the beginning of next week.
I mean, I think that's acceptable. I mean, we are asking a favor of him, so...
So,
yeah.
He
Thank you
mentions
much.
off
Well, I guess
to,
we'll hang around for a little bit.
Of course. He mentions off to someone who, after a few moments, steps away with the note and heads into the building. He nods to you and then takes the next person in line. After... I need someone to roll me a D100.
Rolling.
A 6.
That's a 6.
After probably about 4 or 5 minutes, you hear the click of boots as in a fine coat, very aristocratic, but at the same time almost gestury, very flamboyant and colorful outfit with this slicked back long hair that's styled in a way that I would personally find a little performative, a bit much perhaps. I don't like long hair on guys, but the halfling man with this fairly long hair swept back walks out the front of the building and looks around for a few moments before spotting the relatively odd, more adventuring type group and makes his way over. Yes. Pleasure to meet you. I am Geppetto Magaldi. You are Goran Devonstar, yes?
Indeed, and this is the delightful John Helston.
John Helston. I can't say I recognize that name, but I do recognize yours, Mr. Devonstar. What's the proposition you have? I heard you had a request of some kind. Is this something we ought to head back to my office for? Or is this just a simple talk on the street?
I mean, if we wish to draw up a contract, we could do so later. Personally, it's simple
so it
enough.
is a proposition then. Good. I'd love to hear it.
Simply enough, we were led to believe that it would be an option to possibly rent your space, as we will be here for quite some time, in my estimation, and knowing how your schedule is working and so forth, it seems that perhaps, unless you're doing double shows on Saturdays and Sundays, as I know is often typical, throughout the week, it could be double shows for us, except for Friday, which would be afternoons. And then if you do have double shows Saturdays and Sundays, we would be effectively an intermission show. We could rent the space, or we could work out a percentage-based payment or something. But apparently, this is one of the hot spots in the entertainment district, according to at least some of those in the know. I don't know that everyone would say that, but it definitely looks like you are certainly popular. So I think that enough people agree with the information that we have received so far. I'm honored that you have heard of me. That's it's fantastic news. Makes things a little bit easier, I find. So if that is something that is accurate and something you would like to discuss, we could very well do that. I don't want to interrupt whatever you have going on for the evening, but maybe after the show, or if there's like any sort of...
I'm very flattered that you've heard of us, yes. I think we do quite well. We do our best here. I'm fairly particular about which kind of performers and who all ends up showing up. But we try to be very selective, only the best to perform here for the most part. We do give newcomers a chance. It's not the cheapest rental. If you're speaking for having full shows, such as during the afternoon or something, as we do not have matinees for this particular show, it is only the single showing during the evenings for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That'll be for the whole month. If you need for one of the other nights, we could potentially shift back the time and have a weeknight performance if you and your band here would like to perform. Certainly something we could refer to. As for the intermission, we already have an act that performs a fairly gentle harp solo during that time, so I don't believe we could do that during the... let me find my notes here, Micah says. During the Folly of the Fairy Court, we already have that slot filled up during the intermission, but if you'd like to rent the space during the afternoon or one of the other days, that's certainly something we could talk about. The standard price we tend to do for the majority of shows is roughly about 1,000 gold per night. I understand that for some that might be a bit outside of the price range, but I'm sure with your prestige and your family it would not be too much of an issue. But I'm perfectly willing to give you a discount at, say, 850 gold per evening. We do have about a capacity of around 3,500, 4,000 individuals, especially if you include static space. We can get up to 5,000 individuals within the auditorium. So especially with, depending on the edge of the cut, which typically the cut tends to be a 15 to 20% to the house, the rest going to the performers, and of course to the houses to cover refreshments and all those other things that we sell at a relative discount. But if you're interested, we'd be happy to have someone with your stature.
Well, sounds relatively reasonable for the city itself. As adventurers, we have not come across nearly as much coin as one might have expected. So perhaps we could work out another deal. Should we meet after the performance this evening? I don't want to interrupt if there's any sort of cast party or whatever. I mean, I don't know exactly how you
I don't personally attend those, and especially during nights like this, it's the beginning of the weekend. Most of the cast tends to rest up, as there are still performances tomorrow night after, and a lot of this particular performance is very physically exerting. A lot of the cast does need their time to prepare and for additional practice tomorrow before the next show, work out any kinks. Though the majority of it is fully fleshed out, it is a wonderful performance. By Sunday of this past week, they already had it nearly perfect. But yes, afterward tonight, after the show, that will be, say, 10 o'clock. We can have you escorted to my office, and if you'd like, I can have my lawyer there, and we can go ahead and write up a sort of contract, or at least perform some negotiations.
I think that would work nicely. I will return at 10. John, does that work for you?
Of course.
Of course.
And then, of course, if any of the rest of the troop wishes, I don't want to overcrowd you or your offices, but I assume that you have enough seating for everyone if we were to come.
Yes, it's not uncommon for 3 or 4 individuals, though typically one primary lead speaks during particular negotiations, but it's not uncommon for several individuals from a troop to be there. And since you are guests, it'll be perfectly fine if you'd like to come to the show tonight with the half-price offer of standard seating with 5 silver pieces, and we'll say 3 instead of 5 gold if you'd like one of the specialty seating that does come with a bottle of wine to share amongst 2 individuals, typically 2 glasses per person effectively, should you ever come on your own. But we'd be happy to go ahead and have you for the cheaper value. That is, if you'd like to see the show tonight.
Yeah, Garan looks at everyone. John, Thicket, Doug, Gambit. Does that sound interesting?
Yeah, we could see tonight.
Sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I have to get back and continue to smooth the crowd, per se. But if you go talk to Alfred over there, as he points back to the man in the window, he should be able to get you just set up.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and look forward to speaking with you later.
You as well, Mr. Evanstock.
All right. Farewell. And best in the show. May many legs be broken.
As long as you don't speak of that one particular play.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Of course. So he will step away and make his way back inside.
So yeah, I'll head back over to the counter and wait for Alfred to bring us forward in case he's in the middle of anything.
He would be talking to a couple of customers, but after a moment he'd be able to see.
All right. I will go ahead and pay for our tickets for the 15 gold so that we can eat as well.
Okie doke. Full gamut of everyone coming in, $3 yeah, that works. And we do have, as he points down, oftentimes animals, familiars and like, can be disturbed by performances, so we do have a kennel if you'd like to, as he points down to Jackie, set them up for the show.
Yeah, can I look at the arrangement? I don't want her to feel...
I thought he was about to point at Thicket.
That would have been hilarious. Or both of you. He pointed to both of you.
Let's find out. He does point at both of them.
Love it.
I don't get to watch the show?
No.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I mistook you for a familiar. No, of course. We'd be happy to have you. He looks slightly embarrassed.
Yeah. Now, very just effectively a cacophonist. That just try to think of it in those terms, and you will understand him at least a little bit better. So
good enough for me. As he points you inside, immediately inside the fairly nice entry foyer, there is a room off to the side where you would find another halfling, a fairly young halfling man who has an array of various cages that all look relatively comfortable, fairly simple, but none of them are... It doesn't smell bad, there's no... They do tend to have small layers of straw on them to provide an amount of comfort to the pet. There are several others here. You see several dogs, and what appears to be an owl sitting in one of the cages.
that's pretty cool. Does it look like a comfortable sort of arrangement, or does it look more like...
It looks comfortable enough for animals. It's not... There's no fancy pillows or anything. It's a fairly simple setup. But it looks like most animals wouldn't necessarily mind unless they dislike cages or being away from their owner. The ones that are in here seem to be fairly well behaved. They don't immediately start barking or anything as y'all are shown the space. It's not the most fancy, but it is a space where an animal can be kept with relative comfort.
Okay, and this is Alfred showing us?
It's a younger halfling man by the name. But he would point you inside, and then a younger halfling man would show you the individual space. His name is Pause.
Pause?
Yep.
Okay. Is this part of the payment, or is there additional payment for this?
No, this is complimentary.
All right. Then
don't worry, the little thing will be kept perfectly fine. As he kneels down and tries to pet Jackie, and Jackie sniffs his hand for a few moments and then lets him pet her.
Good girl, Jax. Good girl. Yeah, Jackie seems to be more than happy. So I will give him 2 silver.
He nods, very appreciative. Thank you very much, sir.
She stinks so bad, like a stink bomb.
Oh wow! Didn't know a Gambit felt that way about Jackie.
Yeah, what's happening?
I assume Jonathan was talking about her own dog. After that, you would be led into the space, into the fairly nice. It would be your choice at this point. Not all the seats for the nicer seats are filled. There are 2 primary seating floors, one above, one below. The upper balcony is a bit nicer overall, with a central area that has fairly nice, well-backed seats with these small tables between each seat where you can set drinks, food, or otherwise. And just outside on the second floor of the foyer, easy to get to, is effectively a refreshments place where you can purchase individual goods. You are provided with bread and wine for complimentary to your seating. Any more is expected to be purchased, but you are given those amenities.
Okay, so no cheese, no butter, no fruit. Okay. Then yeah, I would guide us upstairs, and once I see what's missing, then if any attendants come over, I will ask them to bring some cheese and some fruit.
Of course. That'll just be 1 silver piece.
And
with 1 silver piece, they bring a full platter of those over. A variety of several different kinds of cheeses, largely grapes. You do see, in addition to the fruit, there is a small bowl of what seems to be honey to dip things into. Slices of different melons, not be pineapple, apples, fruit tree type things.
Okay. I'll pay the 1 and give an additional 1 as tip.
They are very appreciative. You don't know how much of it's staged. You'd have to roll an insight check to tell how much they truly care, but they certainly play very appreciatively.
I mean, Garand wouldn't care at this point. It's like vacation day for him. And honestly, at this point, like, I personally, Christopher, wants to be like, I have no problems throwing some money around. And no, everything crashed.
I accidentally pressed the wrong button.
Okay.
I accidentally moved a finger in a wrong way and closed the campaign. You'll have to get back in and just when it comes back up.
How dare you, sir?
No, the campaign.
I'm pretty sure that
we're all
means
doomed.
another 5,000 gold pieces.
Yeah.
You just have to win
For
the
emotional damages.
For emotional damages to the player, not the character. The characters are having a great night.
Emotional damage.
Presumably a good night. Water is also water and other drinks are also available upon request. I don't know if I think it would like wine.
Hey, I just want to kind of point out that, like, the 1 day of renting space at this place is like getting half of second place in the race. I just
it's the nice place. It's the nice place, effectively.
It's Madison Square Garden, I guess, but as long as the payment is requisite, it's fine. Well, that's part of the reason why I wanted, and Garon wanted to see the show is to be like, to make judgment calls is like, okay, can we actually make money here? Is it like, are there enough wealthy looking folks? And hopefully Gambit doesn't rob too many of them. But
I don't think Gambit's been much of a thief so far.
No, but
no, he can change.
We still like to pick on Gambit.
True.
Gambit will pickpocket anybody who's being rude to the waiters.
Make a perception check whenever we get back in.
Perception followed by insight, or just straight perception? Maybe you just hear it. You hear someone like, I need your manager. Like,
probably just perception.
Karen Karenson is definitely causing a problem. Yeah, there's no way that we can afford it reasonably, so I think it's going to be the kind of thing where I'm going to have to make a deal of, like, they get a higher cut, but then they don't charge us. because there's no way that we can afford that for whatever reason or another. We just haven't found money. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, man, it's just, sometimes you're struck with bad luck. Sometimes the cash just doesn't roll in the way you want it to.
Sometimes you have crazy DMs.
Yep, sometimes you have crazy DMs who forget money's really important in a game. The Folly of the Fairy Court, you do see that there is part of the truth over the performance, which it's up to you how much your character enjoys. But the performance does go well. There is a harp performance halfway through by a blue dragonborn man who is introduced as Magog. That's the word.
I was gonna say Magog, just nauseating.
Magog. I misread my note. He does quite well. Coming out in a very fancy suit and tie, the long, effectively tail on the suit, all that fancy jazz. Except it's not jazz; it's a very classical harp performance.
Jazz harp.
Jazz harp. That's a thing. Sounds like it'd be really good too. And now, okay, you did roll. You do not spot anyone being particularly rude to waiters, servers, or otherwise.
Dang it!
How does everyone enjoy the show over the course of? It would go until about, let's see, it would start at 6:30, and it would be a 3-hour total show, ending at about 9:45, 9:50 after the 15-minute intermission.
Gibbet is having like culture shock. I don't think he's ever been to a show like this that he can remember.
Yeah, I wonder what Thicket's thinking.
John more or less enjoyed it.
There is no musical performance. It is purely a comedy in that respect.
Boo! Give us the musical!
They don't have any kind of choir or pit or anything?
They do have music playing different moments, but it's not a musical with the people on stage singing as well.
Gotcha. Musical. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there is music, but it's not a musical. How does Thicket feel about it?
Thicket's just like in awe of how grandiose everything is.
Looking at 5 different types of cheeses on a platter with honey to dip it into. And that leaves Doug. You are muted. How does Doug feel about the show? Doug doesn't know what shows are. Doug's never been to... Well, I mean, actually, Doug may have never been to a show like this before.
He's still muted.
He is still muted.
So maybe he
might.
Up to him to decide for sure.
Is his thing still doing the thing where if he's muted for so long, he won't unmute?
I imagine if that were the case, he would unmute or remute and unmute or whatever else he needs to do. He might just not be able to speak at the moment.
Yeah.
That must be.
Well, if they rolled decent on their perform check, Gron would enjoy it.
Let me double check for the crew. They do incredibly well.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be the kind of thing where Gron is more focused on just having a night with his friends and compatriots, the people that like he's kind of bled and nearly died with, and just the fact that like we've gone around like basically an entire nation at this point, or at least half of it, and have done some good. He's doing like a bunch of reflecting and stuff, and like Thicket can pretty much read Gron like a book at this point, I think. So if at any point Thicket is not just so enamored and distracted by everything else that he's seing, and he looks over at Gron, he'd realize that like Gron's like really like at peace and just really like thankful for this time with his friends and stuff.
To be fair, Thicket's passive perception is 23.
His passive insight is
15? Oh wait, no, that's
the
he doesn't.
investigation. Passive
His passive insight hasn't changed.
18. Still really good. Plus, you're quite familiar.
Well, I'm just saying, I think at this, like with like everything that specifically went between the two of them for so long, I think at this point Thicket just kind of knows and understands Garand. Whether Thicket could put it into words or whether, you know, I mean, that's up to Maury, but I think at this point,
Familiar for sure. As the 10 o'clock, or as the end of the show rolls around, the resolution of the story in a minorly emotional moment as the man is reunited with his family away from the ferry. There is just a few, probably 2 or 3 minutes after the end of the show, some people getting up, moving around, some still sitting and taking in the ending, the enjoyment before leaving. One of the surfers does come up to Garand. Mr. Evenstar. The head of the house, then Mike is forgetting the name. There it is. Mr. Magaldi is in his office for you if you'd like me to escort you there.
Yeah. And Garand will look around at everyone. Are we ready to depart then?
Yeah. I thought the owner's name was Geppetto or something.
Yeah, but his last name is Magaldi.
Yes, Geppetto
Oh.
Magaldi.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're right. It's just
It is. Yes, you are correct.
Oh, I was gonna
Micah
say
will.
that stood out.
Micah will copy and send the name into the chat.
Perfect. Yeah,
Oh,
let's
Magaldi.
go. Let's go talk to him. Make a deal. Let's
Correct.
make a deal.
You are escorted to the second floor, which does seem to be offices on the back end. The back of the second floor offices, you are brought into a fairly simple place. Lots of papers. You actually see a stack of effectively just flyers for the current show set off to one corner. Several stacks of them piled high. And sitting behind his desk, looking over some sort of contract or piece of paper, he looks up at you, now wearing a set of glasses as well. Please, come in. The messenger's troop is what you called yourselves, yes?
Yeah, we don't really have exactly a name. Messenger's Band might have been what I said, but Messenger's Troop works well also. Thank you.
Well, if you'd like to make a name, there's certainly a place to make a name for yourself. And please, he nods over to the server who closed the door on the way out. I didn't think it'd be necessary for the night, as we can do some general conversation, and then legally, should we want a contract, we can have that handled tomorrow or perhaps Monday. The official details written and signed. In the meantime, though, tell me what you were thinking, what your offer is. You've already heard mine, or at least the basic tenets of one.
All right. Well, I have to admit, I think some of it is, you know, unfortunately, a little bit of a, we'll say, a hopeful approach. I think the best bet would be to offer a greater percentage of the take.
I'm
in
sorry,
order
I
to-
can't go lower than 20% for the house.
No, I meant for the house, a greater percentage of the take
Oh.
for the house. Forgive me if I was sounding in a greater percentage of the take for the house.
I'm sorry, it's just an assumption that some performers take seem to forget the work that goes into the building itself at some points.
No, not at all. But I say that because not being able to pay more upfront for renting in the first place. So maybe that is kind of similar to what you were thinking, but in a different way. Now, I say that with a few caveats because, one, we can kind of discuss all the finer points to those numbers in a moment. But also, my uncle will be here within days, if not weeks, and it would be a prime opportunity to, maybe incur a little bit of favor for the muse, and by extension future generations and so forth. So that can all be worked out as well, but effectively him knowing I'd be performing here would encourage him to want to come, and then perhaps he would go to the show, and such and such, so forth. My thought process would be perhaps 4 shows a week. We can certainly do a before the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a middle of the week like hype show, effectively. Where we would be playing some of the songs that would be heard from the orchestral pit, as like accompaniment throughout the show. Like let's say on like a Thursday or a Tuesday or something, where it's like just reminding people of how great the show is and so forth. Which again, brilliantly done. It was wonderful to watch, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to do so. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it seems that obviously as you've heard the name, that we've garnered fame and attention, but we have not abundantly filled our coffers. So that is why I propose an option whereby the house acquires a greater take if they're willing to front a little bit more of the initial risk.
I see. So, effectively, on the relevance of your father's name, you would like to, with the implication that he will come and visit some of our performances, perhaps bring some of whatever entourage he brings with him for the Summer Lords meeting. But in return for that additional favor, as well as with the equal portion that the house takes an additional amount that you pay less to perform 3 matinees on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Wednesday evening performance.
Wednesday, Tuesday, I'm not really exactly sure. I know that some things we are busy for. So we are invited to the ball, for example, right? We're going to be going to that. So we'll be busy.
Which ball would that be? I assume you're referring to the solstice, but there are quite a few events happening during that week.
Yes, we have been invited by the Wizarding College on behalf of...
yes, the Hain Institute. We get quite a few students happy to spend a little bit of coin to see a good show come quite often. There were actually a few in the audience tonight, I believe.
Oh, delightful. Well, yes, and then also we will be participating in the race. So
I see.
we're trying to make the most of our time here and enjoy it as
definitely getting around for sure.
So, well, no, don't say those words. How about we want to enjoy ourselves? Can we leave it at that, please? I'm being very careful with those sorts of words.
I see. Of course, nothing but discretion outside this room.
Not that sort of bard, you see. But effectively, yeah. So whatever day would work midweek, like I said, I think maybe a Tuesday, maybe a Wednesday. Not exactly sure how it all plays out. I'd have to look at the calendar, but yes, something like that to drum up additional interest. Remind people, hey, look, there's a fantastic show coming ahead. Make sure to get your tickets early. That sort of thing. Or promotional tour, if you will.
Yeah, a performance of the music of the Folly of the Fairy Court. And right. What sort of performance would you have in mind for the matinees?
Same kind of idea, just kind of getting people revved up, where it's like it's effectively alternating, between like various pieces that maybe people prefer, or maybe we could take requests for a certain amount of additional patronage, that kind of sort of thing. Typically, a 2.5 hour show, with a small break, to refresh. So you're looking at about 10 hours in the week, so something along that line. And then the idea would be, like alternating. We'd be throwing in, or blending in the different pieces that your orchestral pit will be playing, and then other pieces that might either suit the audience or whatever.
If you intend them to be typically roughly 2-hour performances apiece, I would recommend the matinees take place at perhaps 1 o'clock, a bit after lunch, hopefully give people an opportunity to come and enjoy for the matinees, while still allowing the performers for the play to prepare themselves and prepare the area.
Yes. So my thoughts were 1:30 seating time for a 2 o'clock performance that would go till about 4:30, which would give everyone enough time to eat and for any sort of whatever to be cleaned. Does that sound reasonable, or is that too late in your estimation?
I believe a 1 o'clock seating with a... Oh, do you understand what I said there? I may have cut out for a moment.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I believe a 1 o'clock seating with a 1:30 to 3:30 or 4 o'clock performance would probably suit the stage better. But if you insist upon the 2 o'clock time, I
Hey,
believe we
hey!
should... Oh. Yes.
Oh, not you.
Did you see it?
Sorry,
He looks
Doc
out the
was
window. Was
getting
there a
something
bird
to
or
say.
something?
Woo,
Oh goodness. This late at night.
It might be a fairy dragon for all I know. In fact,
It's a parrot.
Oh,
perhaps
alright, up here. A fairy dragon, you say?
would enjoy this. I'll have to ask if Yizu or whatever enjoyed the show, if he thought it was a good time with fair people. Yeah, all right. Well, if you think that's better, I typically
I just want
Yeah,
to
I
give
would-
the performers enough
Give me
time
the
to...
toilet.
I don't understand what's going on over there with that one. I just want to make sure the performers have a enough time to prepare. And
Okay.
of course, we can speak with them if we need to get their opinion on the subject.
it's fine. I'm not wanting to cause issue with anyone. I think it may affect part of the take, just because people may not want to rush their lunch. But
I understand,
take
and
your word.
that can be taken into account.
So if that's amenable, I was thinking perhaps 25%, possibly even 30%, depending on what you feel is a good substitute for a inability to presently pay the space rental fee.
So you don't have any amount of the down payment?
I do not. I have simply gone with the more traditional. I will play here. I will drum up business for your tavern, and you provide room and board, and we'll buy extra meals as necessary. And it's work, but we haven't been in a city, obviously, of this size to this point. But the fact that you do know me indicates to me that I can count on being able to make up that difference through the performances, assuming, of course, that it wouldn't make sense, right? If let's say you're charging 1,000 gold pieces to rent the space, and then we make 300 gold pieces in tips, that doesn't make sense. Why would I want to just give you 700 gold pieces? So my understanding would be then, right, that theoretically, let's say I would make 3,000 gold pieces in tips, where if that was the case, then let's say you 30%, the 30% would pay for it, and you would get the renown of having, drawn star, assuming that my name carries that level of weight yet or not. Uncertain. Again,
I admit I don't know much about your performances. I'm largely more familiar with your father.
Ah, okay. So that's where you know my name. All right.
What? Remind me again. What was the proposed down payment?
The proposed payment was 1,000 total for an evening performance. I could probably reduce that to perhaps 600 or 700 for a matinee, with the house taking 20% of the admission fees, which effectively means for every gold piece spent, you would receive 8 silver piece. That is for the general admission, not for the additional tips. Any tips that the audience prefers to spend will remain yours, though I admit that's not a terribly common occurrence here. And of course, food and the like will stay squarely for the house, the convenience fees. But for the individual seating, it would be effectively 8 silver pieces for each audience member you bring in. For the average seating, which, to put simply, as long as you as long as you bring in 1,250 individuals in a night, you've certainly paid off the initial payment, and any more than that. Like I said, we can house up to 4,000 individuals quite easily. Or at least quite reasonably. We can comfortably house 3,500, and 4,000 is our maximum capacity. At least at the moment. I'm looking for a potential expansion or a second location. But for the moment, that's our typical design. When you say the 25 or 30%, were you saying for the house to receive or for you?
For the house. Now, obviously, we can haggle over these numbers. That's not, if you feel like, oh, that's way under what you would deem reasonable, then you say what you think, and then we either maybe find our compromise in the middle somewhere. But it's more the simple fact that I mean, again, we are not well versed in metropolis expenses and opportunity. So because of that, we don't have that opportunity to do that. So you said 8 silver pieces for the effectively the cheap seats, right? And then you'd have like the box seats being more. Then theoretically, that money which would come in would offset the rental price, and then the price set for the percent of the take, which is why I'm hoping that by offering the higher percentage, it actually would not only pay it off, but give you even more than you expected. But it would be your initial risk, and that may not be something that you wish to take, and I understand that entirely.
He takes out a piece of paper and scribbles on it. Well, if we consider the general payment, the 20% that goes to the house, in addition to the evening payment, is meant to be our level of profit and maintenance. And so in order to cover that, if we assume that you will be not paying the individual performance rental, and if we assume, say, you bring in 3,000 individuals, which may not be the case, especially for a matinee, but if we were to bring in that, and we had a 30% stake, that would just cover the rental fee. So, if we were to assume a roughly equal value, and if you can bring in such an amount, that would bring us to closer to the house getting a 50% stake of the individual admissions. And given the matinee status, I don't think it'd be unreasonable to do a 50% stake on the admissions to the house and 50% to you. This, of course,
you said it was 600 a day for matinee?
For matinee, typically 600 or 700.
Okay.
700 would be more the cheaper side.
So, Grand,
that is also because we expect to have a fewer amount.
Micah, how much do we have as a party?
As a party, your collective value is... I know y'all didn't expect to do as much math, and I'm sure some people's eyes are beginning to glaze over.
I just put it all in a spreadsheet real quick. So.
Yeah, it's... that was funny when Chris was mentioning the 30%. I'm like, yeah, 10% extra doesn't really pay for that, but he would notice that. Which, who knows? Maybe Garand wouldn't necessarily think about the additional amount. Maybe it may not occur to him. I don't know how much of a businessman Garand is.
Well, okay. I mean, again, also Garand's gonna try to like start small so that he doesn't have to go as high.
Fair enough.
So there's that.
Yeah.
It actually is. I'm trying to lowball on purpose.
Smart move. Well, as a party, you have 1,137 gold pieces and 120 platinum. So functionally, before you get into the smaller denominations, you have 2,300 gold pieces at your disposal before considering additional 200 from silver and only like 14 from copper.
Well, we can afford.
Or is that 140? Let me check.
So if we're doing, how many matinees are we planning to do?
I'm looking at playing 4 times a week.
Okay, so here's how the math works out. If we can front up 2 matinees, and we seat 3,000 people with an 80% stake, or 80% profit on the seats, like we get 8, like
assume 8 silver to a seat.
8 silver to a seat. If we pay 600 a day, we will net $1,800 a day, or 1,800 gold. So that sets us, like, that's sustainable. So if we just front up 2 nights, that's 1,200 or 1,400 gold, depending on what he actually decides to charge us at the end. We'll come out on top as long as we get, 3,000 people. And actually, the break-even point on that is, let's see. The break-even point is 1,500 people. So as long as we have more than 1,500 people... Oh, no, that's not even it. Sorry, I take that back. 750 is the break-even point, where we don't make any money, but we don't lose any money. As long as we get at least 1,000 people, we're making money. If we get 1,500 people, we afford another matinee. If we get more than that, that's extra money in the bank. So the math really isn't hard to work out, and if we can pony up 2 days worth of matinees, we could triple our money.
I'm
Easy.
with what I said in the thing was just that we're dealing with astronomical sums compared to what we've had. We're basically trying to run with, like effectively by comparison, like, Bill Gates and Elon Musk and all this stuff, when we just basically, came out of college with debt. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Like it's way like harder for where we're at. So we can talk about that if we want to like risk that as a group, but I would rather work out the favor of like, hey, I will make sure that I will meet with my uncle here, which he's going to want to do, and therefore that's at least one time of them coming in to maybe cover like the first 2 times, and then maybe we can work out from there. Because I think in order to drum up initial, business and initial, like, because I might be relative.
Take this moment for the other 3 of you, since it is 9:08. If you all want to step away and use the restroom or anything, as we're talking on the business side of things, you're welcome to. Since it is largely more of a roleplay night, that will probably be days that we may not end up taking a full break. And so when people need to step away, just send a message in chat and go.
Yeah, I'm.
Continue.
So, yeah, I mean, this is like effectively like a sidebar, but I really don't care too much if he hears like some of this stuff. Like, I'm not, like, when I said, "Oh, I'm trying to lowball him," that was me to you. That's not Garand, but Garand's like the one that's saying like,
all of this is out of character right now.
Yeah. I'm just feel like asking him to trust that we'll make him money is almost like, I don't know if you've seen that, those Reddit threads about the entitled Karen social media influencers are like, you give me free stuff and I'll give you free advertisement or give
Right.
you a shout out. It's just this is what it seems like we'd be asking is, you pony up the rent, we'll take less of a cut, but we promise we'll get people in the door. And
Well,
it just feels
I'm with you, which is why.
maybe it doesn't feel genuine.
Okay, well, that's why what I'm saying is like I want to offer of hey, I will leave a note for my uncle that I will meet with him on the prerequisite that it has to be here after one of the matinees and before the show. We'll have dinner with him and his entourage or whatever, and so that would drum up place for that whole full day.
I thought you didn't even know your uncle. Like you've never
I
met the man.
met him as a kid,
Oh.
but I don't remember him. But the point is that he wants to meet me, regardless of anything else from what.
Oh, he does?
Regardless of anything else, whether it's a good way or a bad way, because there's different opinions on that. Everybody pretty much agrees that he would be very, very excited or concerned with meeting me. So
You have had several people voice that he would likely be interested in speaking with you as soon as he knows that you're in Vacua.
right.
Okay. I still think, I don't know that the shopkeeper would let us perform without any risk on our part.
I mean,
Because what you're asking is that we carry no portion of the risk.
it's more like on the initial startup.
This feels
Our-
like I'm watching Shark Tank.
Effectively what's happening is you're trying to trade the favor of guaranteeing that a lord come to the theater the week
Right.
of the solstice in return for him covering the cost.
Like 1 or 2 days. I'm thinking
How
2.
about we do this? Can we come back with I don't want to call it an affidavit, but a letter of confirmation from his uncle that he will be in attendance if we perform, or he and his entourage or whatever. Basically, him guaranteeing so much business.
I mean, I don't know if we can get the message to and from him that quickly, but I mean, I'm
mean,
willing to try, but I think that could be very timely.
when do you want to start performing?
I mean, effectively, I think it would be to our benefit if we could perform Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon as like the intro. Like, hey, we've got we now have a matinee performance. Come see, Garon even star in the Messengers or whatever, and
we don't know when we're going to meet your uncle.
I mean, he's not going to be here yet, but that's the
When's he
point.
going to be here? Do you know?
I'd have to look at the calendar, but Micah, it's like what, a week and a half away?
It is about a week and a half away. It is presumed that the lords will be here in time for the 24th, that is the lords meeting. Since this has been happening for quite a long time, far longer than any of your characters have been alive, including John. John, especially living in the city, would know that this is a thing that happens effectively every quarter, that the lords are required to come and effectively just meet, whether it be a purely social thing, people interact, it's a time for lords to interact with one another, for any decrees or clarifications to be set down by the queen, which even the previous queen had the same sort of function, had the same policy in place. It's been continuing since the time of Malek, over 100 years ago. But it is pretty common that the Friday, or rather the day before whatever meeting, is when the lords will show up, and they may throw their whale around a little bit, send people touring, or they may have business meetings with one another or large businesses. So you could guess that since the 24th, the Saturday, is the Lord's meeting, that the Lords will likely come morning or afternoon of Friday, the 23rd.
So then we could say on the 23rd, he would come to our matinee show and the evening performance of the play. And the in-between period would be a dinner where, I would discuss things with him or whatever. But that would be the idea of like, he's now in town, and one of his main important things of business is to make sure that he goes to the show and sees his nephew perform. So, drum up more business. And theoretically, you could even up the price of the tickets after that point. Because of the simple fact that, like, wow, wait, that's the Lord's nephew. Like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And he's like, that he's good, and it's like, it's fun and whatever. That sort of thing, so that's why if we went into it with the percentage, the risk is overall later on. So he would take the initial risk, and then we would miss out on some of the things that we would get. Now, again, if we're not satisfied with that, or like if you think that let's just try it and see, we could. I just don't know how well it's going to be for the first couple days. So that's why my thought process is we can go to the other later after we've made some money. But let's start out with for at least the first 2 days, it's just pure profit for us, and they get some profit. And then after that, it would be, they would still get, either way they're getting profit. It's just where it's coming from. Effectively, they're taking the risk that the people are going to show up. And so if he's willing to take that risk on the initial 2 days for the possibility of a greater thing later on, which is why I was also another reason why I was lowballing, is because it's still more than what they would normally get, but they had to initially put up that good faith effectively. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand it, but
And the implication for the meeting so far has been that whatever's said tonight will be clarified or renegotiated come, if you decide, either the next morning or afternoon, or he implied Monday, to have the legal contract written up for it.
Yeah, I think that the idea would be to meet here for lunch, and then if so, then we start the performance right off the bat, and then that would be the first you're gathering people in off the street. Like they would hear as they pass by, or whatever, or as it gets closer and they wanted to check out their seat or anything like that. Then that would be the initial oh, that sounds pretty good. I maybe I'd spend 8 silver for that, and then
10 silver, or 10 silver.
Oh, he was saying, so Mikey, you were saying that we would get the 8 silver. You were saying
Yeah.
10 silver.
And so 1 gold is the standard price.
Okay.
And then typically the performing troupe has an 80% cut off that admission.
Okay. So yeah, I would say
And if
another...
you wanted, you could offer to try and find some way to reduce the price, of the
Right.
admission. But that's something you're gonna have to take up.
I mean,
Yeah.
for him to cover the rent, we would only be able to take 40% of the seats. So, yeah, I don't know.
But at that point, it's assumed that all that you will get is profit.
True.
Yeah, and so my thought process is, at least for the first 2 days before before we've actually garnered some notoriety, some word of mouth type stuff, if he's willing to take that risk with the promise of, hey, I will meet with my uncle here, and I'll make that be the requirement if he wants to meet with me, and if he's willing to do that, ultimately it's going to be up to him and what he feels like is worth risking or worth not risking. But I'm saying, from my perspective, and again, I want to hear what anybody else has to say about it or whatever, but he puts up the initial, but then he gets a possible long-term over compensation, if that makes sense. So this is what I'm saying, let's say 30%, right? And let's say we're getting the 3,000 or whatever. So that means that he's getting the 1,000, which 850 plus what was it? 850 plus the 20%. So he'd be missing out on 50 gold. So he'd want to go for more than 30. But let's say 40. Let's say the house gets 40%.
And that's for him breaking even on the rent.
No, that's
He needs to make 60 to. Well, okay, yeah. Yeah, 40.
Yeah,
you're
the
right.
additional, so on top of the 20, he would have to have at least 35-40%, with y'all bringing in 1,000 people or 3,000 or whatever it was to make sure it covers.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's the more. So like let's say it's 35%, right? And we bring in 3,000 people at a gold pop. So that means that he's making uh what is that?
It's
1,000.
1,200, so he would make a 200 gold profit.
Right. So he'd be making more money than he would, and I know all it took him was an initial risk. And the promise of a meetup, which is probably going to help him anyway. It actually works out really well in his favor if he's willing to take that risk. And now he may not be. I'm not saying he is guaranteed, John. I'm saying like that's the argument I want to make, because I think it shows like, hey, we're willing to take the bigger risk later on. Like let's say we get 4,000 people, right? Now all of a sudden that 35% is looking really good. You see what I mean? Even 30% is looking really good at 40 if we sell out, on sellout shows.
Yeah,
But
if we actually bring people in.
But
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe it's up to the dice, because I don't know how Mike is going to decide this.
Yeah.
But I feel like he might still want some sort of guarantee of return, whether it be like, whenever you have a loan, whoever's taking the risk, they usually want something in return, whether it be money or like, a bank might want the pink note on your car.
Yeah.
As a guarantee that you will satisfy your end of the deal.
Which is
so
going with the uncle meeting. But yeah, keep going.
Well, yeah, but also he doesn't know you. You could be lying about who you are. I mean, he's heard of your name, yeah, but if he's heard of your name, so could anybody else.
Right. And again, like I said, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but my thoughts are this. I say 25, maybe 30%, because plus the other thing, because like you said, 30% of the 3,000 means that he's effectively losing 50 gold. But all of a sudden we sell. Let's say we don't sell out, but let's say we do 3,200. Well, now he's making 150 gold, more than he would have. Plus, he gets that meeting promise. Plus, he gets the notoriety of having another great performer here. Plus, I've already intimated that I would encourage my uncle that, like, hey, this place looked out for us and me when we needed help, and they were willing to be generous to us. Maybe as a sign of good faith on your part, maybe there could be working with him to be like underwriting a sponsor or whatever of the expansion that he's talking about, or the second location. Again, all those things can be kind of talked out, worked out, but
You have your business plan to offer?
That's the one that I want to go with. But but John, if you're convinced that we should spend the initial money, we can talk about that. But I'll tell you right now, that's going to be a hard sell on Garan, because we don't have it. And like,
what do you mean we don't have it? Micah said that we had like $2,000 between us. If we pony up 2 nights, $1,200, we will triple that easily. So I mean, like, we get a return on our investment easy.
I agree.
We do well.
I agree on future nights. On future nights where we've already got the name out and people know, I agree. But on the initial first 2 days, I don't think that's how that's going to work out. I don't know that there's enough activity here. Now, again, there could be so many people here that it may not even matter, and maybe it will. I don't know. But you're asking, like, I think that's too much of a risk, like, to put all that money in. We have like no money. Like, okay, we're trying to, we're already risking with the race, right? That's already a risk. We're going to be betting on that, so that's a risk. I'm just saying, we're running out of like.
I mean, we don't have cash to bet. So I mean,
we do have that.
If we don't have cash to
The plan was to bet 1,000 gold on the race.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't have cash to spend on this, we don't have cash to bet. Like, if we don't have cash to risk on this, I mean, so everything, that we spend money on is gonna be a risk whether or not returns. If we get 80% of the house, or 80% proceed, right? I mean, we'll almost guaranteed to double our money, if not triple. I mean, if we've got 1,500, that's less than half of what the house can hold. We double our money.
Okay. How about then that the trade-off is for the first 2 days of performances, he's accepting the trade of I'm only going to meet with my uncle if he's willing to meet me here by coming to the first show and then staying by coming to the musical matinee and then staying for the evening performance. It like the first 2 days, and then from then on we'll have already built the name up, and we can go back to the regular deal that he has normally. The even paying so much as the 1,000 if he feels like he needs to, but like let's say for the first 2 performances, the house gets 40% instead of the 20% plus, and then maybe even we could theoretically possibly make up a difference that he would be satisfied of, because if we are making some money, then we could theoretically afford to do that as well. It could be an after the fact. It's just what risks is he willing to take? So,
I mean, we could present that as our first plan, and then if we can see what he counters with.
And let's let him decide what he's willing to risk. Like, let's not be like, hey, let's try to just
No, that's fair. I mean, coming with a plan and a backup plan, I think is the move.
I feel like we can absolutely have like 30 minutes of backup plans. You know what I mean? Like haggling effectively.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going with. Is like I want to try to start as low as possible so that we don't have to, because we don't really have much that we can risk. That's my point. And I think we've already kind of invested the whole concept in what we're going to do for the racing, and so we can't really afford to do it again. Does that make sense?
So I understand.
So the rest of
I
the
think
party.
yeah.
Does anyone else want to give any thoughts on this before we go back into the moment?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, have we talked to your uncle?
We were just talking about that.
No, it's gonna be like I send a note to him, and either he's gonna get it when he gets here, or he'll get it before then, and then he'll know what to decide.
Isn't your uncle like possibly want to murder you?
No. That I've not heard that at all. I've heard either he wants to manipulate and use me for his own goals, or he wants to help me and build me up. But he definitely wants me involved in some way. So
that's like
Okay.
the most two extreme responses right there.
So, like,
yeah, I know.
either way, he would benefit from trying to gain your favor by
Right.
agreeing to this.
Exactly. And so that's the point, is that I'm kind of leaning on again, the consensus is he's going to want to meet me and talk to me and whatever. It's how and why. That's the thing that seems to be a contention among people. So that's why I feel like it's an easy offer.
We can advertise.
The thing is I would want to do this sooner rather than later. So I feel like the advertisement would be in the morning. There would be a new poster up, and it would be like, hey, this is going to be happening now. And
Grab your tickets fast. They're limited.
Right, that kind of approach, and then that's why having the house take the initial risk with the prompt meeting. So,
are you beginning to understand why I spent way more time thinking about newspapers, printing presses over the week?
Yeah.
I did see a potential advertisement campaign on the horizon, and I was like, how would that work?
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I want to do. I want to start with like a low ball. Hey, what are you willing to risk? I mean, we're willing to risk something in response to that, but I don't know.
And Jack,
Nope,
is
I
there
agree.
anything you have?
Low ball first.
But yeah, so is there anything else anybody really wanted to say or add to the contention to help one way or another, either help better approach it, or to help maybe with a really great point about another way to kind of keep it lower, a low ball offer?
None.
Okay, so we're good. I'm gonna, because if we're good, then I'm gonna take a quick break, go to the bathroom myself, and then I say we
we'll
start
move back into it. I
You got- you
am
got-
going to
help.
repeat effectively what his offer was just
Yeah.
was, and then you can make your offer from there.
Yeah. Is it what I have in there? The Remnant Lunar Archon, is that right?
The offer that you made. I'll refresh when you get back. You go ahead.
Well, it's just 850 per day plus 15 to 20% take.
That was your
That's-
offer? Or
No,
his
that's what he said. And I just want to make sure that's
yes,
right.
that was his general offer. Was somewhere between 600 to 800, probably closer to 7, with them taking a 20% take for a mat.
Oh,
the house,
for matinees.
with the house taking a 20%.
With the
So
house
we
taking a
take
20% take on the matinees, effectively just getting a lower price for the performance time because it's a matinee and will require less manpower to, presumably less manpower to manage.
Yeah. Okay. All right, be right back.
And I think there may have been stuff of an offer and recounter offer with the with him talking about what amount he'd have to take, but we'll assume that to be refreshed as we get back into it.
Alright, I can grab some water. BRB.
Enjoying business D&D more than I expected I would.
Business. Is it working?
Business. Do you have any business ideas, Maury?
Did anyone get my reference?
My brain hurts.
Oh, poor thing. Yeah, this is... I did not get your reference. What was your reference to?
Unikitty
I don't know.
from the Lego movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
did forget about that. I'll be honest, I forgot most of that movie.
What?
I haven't seen it in
One
a
of the
while and I
greatest
didn't love it.
movies.
It was alright.
What? I love the Lego movie.
Computer.
I did appreciate that
Open
it
the parental
followed
lock.
the standard plot line of that kind of movie, similar to the like Ready Player Ones and
Oh boo!
well,
Ready Player One was not a good movie.
yes, I'm just saying like the general formula of normal
I
guy
loved it.
meets manic pixie dream girl, adventure ensues, and they save the world.
Yeah,
it's
but
not a
this
bad
one is
general plot line. I'm just saying that's a
quirky and fun.
that's also normal for that type of thing. And like Scott Pilgrim versus the World or whatever that movie was called.
That's it.
Yeah, that type of general plot line in the same way that there's general hero's journey plot lines that a lot of things follow.
Mm-hmm.
They're just in the same plot line, but Lego Movie did do a very, very good job. Interesting enough, I think Free Guy also had that type of plot line. Inciting incident, Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Was that Manic Pixie Dream Girl? I don't remember the girl.
She wasn't Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
That's true.
Free Guy.
She was just
She was
Dream
just
Girl.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just regular Dream Girl, not the Manic Pixie kind. The movie is great if you forget everything about how computer science works. Because it doesn't make any sense
No, it
with
doesn't.
real world laws of computer. It just doesn't work.
But neither does The Matrix. So
Or Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, I dislike very much.
I've never seen it. I just know the general gist of the storyline and that it doesn't make sense.
And he's just a kind of a bad person.
I hope.
In both the book and the movie, I've seen both.
Oof. That's a bad time.
It's to me. Have you ever seen Dear Evan Hansen?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
Well, I
you're
haven't
familiar
seen
with
it, but I've
the-
listened to the soundtrack and I know the plot.
Okay.
Yeah, he's awful.
You know how he like commits atrocities,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of like, well, he's got anxiety.
The movie's worse about it. The movie tries to act like he's blameless and cuts out the song where he gets his comeuppance. I can't believe they did
It
that.
does?
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut out "Good for You" in the movie.
No.
It's
Oh my gosh.
awful,
He deserves literal jail time,
and he doesn't
and
get
it's just
any
like,
of
but
that in the movie.
he has anxiety, so
It's all
you should.
fine.
It's kind of like that.
He manipulated and
Wait,
used everyone
why
around
is the
him.
dude bad in Ready Player One? I forget.
He's just hates everybody.
Oh. I've been meaning to.
He's his inner he's not as bad as Dear Evan Hansen. Like,
Yeah,
well,
it would
maybe,
take
I
a
don't
lot to
know.
be as bad as Evan Hansen.
He's he's a grouch, and doesn't take any time to like understand a lot of people. It's been a long time. I
That's
also
fair.
listened to it on a 13-hour flight to China.
Goodness.
I haven't like
Um,
read the book or anything. I've only seen the movie, so I don't know
Yeah,
how different he is in the book version. In the movie,
And,
he's
well-
just like poor and is trying to like make money on
Right.
a video game.
in the book, he is, uh, you know, makes bad comments about all the poor people
Dang.
Oh,
that he's living with, that are,
Oh.
being taken advantage of by the hyper capitalistic society
yeah,
that has been created.
the megacorp.
And
Technically, it's more of a megacorp society than a capitalist society because it's basically just. I think it's not oligarchy, is it? Isn't oligarchy where it's basically ruled by a couple of major businesses that have since effectively taken over the government,
no,
effectively
I
shutting
don't.
down free
That
trade?
doesn't sound right.
There's a
I don't know.
oligarchy is a couple of people in power. Or it's not an oligarchy. I don't remember. I don't know.
Oligarchy is a small
It's-
group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution,
corporatocracy.
Well, it's
basically
kind of
governed,
like,
basically governed by a C-suite.
A corporatocracy is when effectively
It's-
a business or couple of conglomerates have pretty much taken control of an entire government.
well, there is kind of really no government.
Yeah, basically. In that case, the corporation just kind of is the government in that case, which is a corporatocracy.
Like unofficially, the government. I can't really remember all the ins and outs of the politics of the world. I just remembered, he was not very nice.
That's fair.
Not very pleasant to listen to monologue.
That's always a bad time.
You sly dog, you got me monologuing.
Jack, are you alive?
He may have fallen asleep.
I would believe it. I'd be sad if that were the case, but also if he needs the rest, he needs the rest. I just noticed that he's still muted, but in chat. Or not like in chat, but like in the call. Well, I don't know how interested Doug would be anyway in the business.
I don't know that Doug would understand it, to be honest.
I feel like Doug would try and participate while being fully unaware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Sounds like Doug.
That's fair.
I definitely think Jack would understand exactly what's going on and then purposefully make Jug misconstrue what he's hearing. And it would be great. I love when he does that. But speaking of that and that type of thing, I'm going to shift that back. So as it shifts back in, I'll just go ahead and repeat his basic offer. So effectively for a matinee, we would be thinking of roughly 700 gold for the afternoon times, with the house taking a 20% stake. And we can determine advertisements afterwards, or once we get down to the brass tacks of the contract.
I was literally just thinking that phrase.
All right. Well, here's where I'd like to start from, and hopefully we can resolve this evening. I would like to offer the opportunity for greater long-term possible rewards for a greater risk on your part at the beginning. What I mean by that is for the first 2 days performances, while we are, garnering fans and drumming up interest and such, you would cover the cost of the operating, right? And then the profit portion, assuming the profit portion that would come from the take from the seats, would be greater for you for those first 2 days, and we can then possibly readjust the rest later. But the additional bonus would be not only would the price of the take either stay higher or whatever, depending on how that all works out, but the fact that I would leave word for my uncle that I would not meet with him unless he came to the show, had dinner, and then came to or at least purchase the tickets, if not come. But I would kind of insist on him coming, although who's to say how busy he would be, right? But still, that would be the idea, is that if I'm worth it to him, he would do this, and then he would stay for the performance as well, the play itself, which would be a full day of having a lord in your theater. I think that would be kind of where I would go. So to that end, perhaps a 40% take on the first 2 days performances, instead of the 20%, and the promise to have my uncle effectively come and throw his weight around, so to speak.
Let's see, you're expecting me to put the full bill then, and when were you thinking of starting?
I think it makes the most sense to start tomorrow afternoon. Come by for lunch to finalize.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh, well, I'm definitely using my points.
Hero point, okay.
I also will use one of my skill of empowerment boon to give myself expertise.
Did give you boon of skill empowerment, didn't I?
And
what a
so,
nice thing I did.
So it's going to be +6 on this total, then.
Okie doke.
Because I am already proficient, so I don't get the half. So it is right.
Yes.
Hey. Not bad for 107.
Not really, no.
He sits back and strokes the tufts of hair on his chin, as he doesn't have much of a beard to speak of. Well, the guarantee that your uncle will at least appear for your performance, and purchase seats, and preferably be at the evening performance as well, that likely Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I can foot the bill for these 2 nights, but I would prefer a 60% take for the house, given that we are placing more emphasis on taking the opportunity.
60% take for the house. For just those 2 nights?
For just the 2 nights. If we could renegotiate after, but given that you'd stayed the 2 nights, the performances, depending on how much you bring in, what sort of crowd you draw, what interest is drummed up, we can renegotiate exact terms afterwards. Unless you'd like to perform a longer deal, but I would require payment beyond that if we were to determine it now.
I think, yeah, we could start with that. Seems reasonable.
Do you...
Given the risk that you're taking?
Every time Garon tries to have faith in John's like, yeah, sure. He's not haggling at all. Garon,
Hey.
I see.
It sounds like a decent deal.
And
haggling doesn't work that way. All right,
is
anyway.
this your entire group's will? Who speaks? Who effectively has the ownership interest If it's you, I'm perfectly happy to. I just know that previous
Can't
to this
exactly speak
moment,
for the party. I'm a
Ron
little bit
spoke.
too, a little bit green for that.
Well,
John's not that great at haggling
Mhm.
either.
which is fine. I will say, Sir Geppetto, John is a little partial to the city, so he wants to honor the theater for no other reason than because of his great passion and appreciation for it. But as he is still, though a great performer, relatively new, I think his eagerness maybe spoke ahead for what I think my compatriots and I can reasonably manage. So, would you say then, perhaps 150 gold pieces, total of 300 for the 2 days plus the 40% would be sufficient?
With that initial down payment into the amount, I think that sounds fair. What time tomorrow can you be here to sign the contract? I can have my lawyers drawn up by the end of the morning.
I'd like to get started tomorrow, so that means that the first performance will be at 1. So I'd like around noon to start trying to drum up. So, lunch, before lunch, just about then. Does that like 11:30? Does that sound acceptable?
Good. I will not ahead of time do any advertisement for you, though once the contract is signed, I will assign the caller outside to begin declaring the performance of... Is this your entire troupe, or all of you performing? I was under the impression, should it be the messenger band?
Isn't it just 2 of us? Unless somebody else wants to.
Well, Thicket has been known to assist on occasion, with magical, we'll say, pyrotechnics and all that. Light show, you know.
I see, but the primary performers will be you two then?
Correct.
Evanstar and Halston. Good.
Question: what did we just agree to? We agreed to take for 60% of each seat and 300 per day, or 300 total.
300 total for the 2 days.
Okay.
And then we get 60, they get 40.
Okay.
Alright. Well, it's late. I assume you have... Well, you're adventurers. I don't know if you have families to go home to. But we will reconvene in the morning, then.
Look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate your efforts and your work. We look forward to working with you. And may we both get rich.
And we're meeting, lunch tomorrow to sign contracts?
11:30.
11 o'clock here.
11. Got it.
Good. If you don't mind, as he gestures toward the door for you to leave the office.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Garon's scooting. We need to get up early in the morning anyway to go meet with what's his name.
As you scoot out and head back toward the Dapper Bee, is there anything y'all want to try to do for the night before y'all get up early the next morning? It'd be about 10:30. I would say y'all could still get the long rest in, because the implication in D&D is that, it's during a very heavy adventuring day, so it would not be unreasonable that, after 2 hours of relaxing and watching a show, getting, whatever amount of sleep would be entirely reasonable.
Awesome, man. See, now that's good DM stuff right there. Not trying to cheese us. We didn't do anything extraneous.
I mean, it makes sense. Y'all don't have a lot to recover from, and the implication is that, adventurers sleep 6 hours a night.
Oh, that's appreciated, man.
And is anyone going to do anything?
Just get Jackie, get ready to wake up, and I'll let we need a heads up, probably 4:45, so we have enough time to get everybody up and ready to get over there, because it's really close, right?
It is probably about a 40 minute walk.
Oh, it's not that close. Okay, then that means that we need to be up like 4:15.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we doing the show today?
The next thing.
Well, like the next day.
Yeah.
What do I need to prepare as far as like spells?
Good question.
For helping out.
What does Thicket need to prepare?
I mean, before I think he was just letting you do some like druidcraft or some other like really minor cantrip. But let's say since it's a bigger situation that maybe you do have to use a second level, spell, or I guess maybe a third level spell to give it to John also, but so that we could have advantage. It would be Eagle Splendor.
Okay.
Keep in mind, if you wanted to do it for the full thing, you would have to have they could cast it again halfway through, since you're doing a 2-hour performance.
Right, but that's why we have the break in between.
Yeah.
So it works. You see, I was thinking about that.
Plan.
So yeah, I mean, it's actually 2 spells.
So he definitely wants Thicket to do enhance ability, if Thicket chooses to. They could just say no.
Yeah.
I don't want you to succeed at your business venture.
Yeah, forget you getting us monies.
We're gonna be out 300 gold come tomorrow morning, and you're not gonna expect it. Ha ha! I got you. Whatever else y'all want to prepare is up to y'all, I guess. I don't know if they have anything else that they want you to prepare.
John really should be a better negotiator, given I have a +8 intimidation. But
something.
Not something you use very often.
John's really not a violent person. He's just really good at intimidating when he needs to.
Exactly. He just has to need to.
He didn't feel like he needed to there.
Okie doke. As the long rest passes, everyone sleeps well, has a good evening, and then waking up at like 4:15 the next morning. Presumably y'all would, I don't know how D&D does alarms or whatever, so somehow y'all would do it, because adventurers can kind of just choose, I guess. Born with the skill to decide I'm going to wake up at this time and do it. Wish I had that skill. It is now.
I don't know how they did it in medieval times either.
Yeah.
Like, how do you wake up on cue? Come on.
I mean, a lot of times
I'd be late for work every day.
A lot of times it was just sunrise, but
they'd have a window facing inwards.
Candles or some other way.
And there are some fancy ways with candles that people had figured out, like putting a nail in the candle at a certain amount and leaving it on so that when it got to that melting point, the candle or the nail would drop and cling on stuff to wake them up.
That's ingenious, actually.
It was very clever. But come the next morning, before sunrise has even gotten up, the party prepares to go to the meeting with Simeon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So we gotta go over to Wizard College, right?
No. This isn't Wizard College. This is the tower. He's the Queen's. Queen's.
Yeah.
I just love the amount of times that you've made that misconnection.
Bro, you have 2 high level magic people you are connected to, and so yeah, of course we're gonna confuse
You're gonna
them.
mix up the two. Yeah, that's true. It is in part my fault. I just appreciate that it's every time that John, the person that lives here, doesn't know. And I like that that's the thing. It's not necessarily
It's
Sam.
not John. It's the player behind John that just forgetful.
Funnier if it's John, though.
That's what John thought it was when he was growing up, and that's just what he's known it as.
That's awesome.
So where are you going?
Well, we gotta go to Simeon's. We gotta go to the tower. The clock tower or whatever it was.
So you do know, yeah, you would make your way to effectively the castle, Malik Castle, and on the eastern side. So the sunrise coming up as you walk toward it. You would get to the base where, as far as you can tell, there's no doorway into the portion of the castle that is the clock tower. As it approaches about 5 o'clock. 5, 10, 5, 5.
There's no doorway into the clock tower?
Not that you can tell.
So the doorway that we went to before is not there?
The doorway that you went to before is around the front of the castle. The main castle entrance. Y'all didn't go through the clock tower.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to just assume that he'll come down to meet us or whatever because if we can't figure out a way in, I mean, I don't know what he would expect.
As you wait,
I mean, well,
Maybe he'll be mad at us.
as you wait just a couple of minutes, you would see a small shimmer of light as a line from about 8 feet in the air begins to draw horizontally before reaching at about 5 feet wide and then piercing downward, and as it touches the ground, it fades. And it opens outward like a door would, and you see, opening it from the inside, you do see Yori. Look at you all. Good morning.
it's a freaking room of requirement.
What's that? Is that some magical thing?
Yeah, I read about it.
Just similar to a story I read about.
Ah,
I'm geeking out. It's fine.
well, you're welcome to. Imagine you'll have fun on the inside then. Come on. She waves you all in.
Alright.
When you do
Alrighty.
go in, at the base of this room, you see a fairly large open foyer. It feels larger on the inside than on the outside, with a checkered pattern on the floor. The walls are fairly simple, with flower vases and similar other things. There is a singular door to the south there's just a singular door to the south. And in the mostly empty space, there is a staircase that goes up about 8-10 feet to a small landing. On that landing, you see what looks to be 4 chains rising up toward the roof. And as you glance toward the roof, you do see there is a small hole about 10 feet on a side in the roof where those chains seem to be going through. And Asuka will begin to walk up toward the staircase.
Wait, what's with the chains?
There are 4 chains at the top of this staircase that are reaching upward about 20 feet from... As this room is about 30 feet tall, reaching up 20 feet before going through a square opening in the floor above.
Okay.
Guess we follow Asuka.
You do so, and as she gets to the top, one moment. As you all go to the top, you see there is effectively a large piece of fairly thick metal that is just sitting on top of the floor at the top of the staircase, which she steps onto. At each corner of the piece, bolted down onto it, is the end of each of the 4 chains. As you presumably step onto it, she whispers a few words. Do any of you speak Gnomish?
I don't think so.
I cannot remember.
I will check Doug, but I highly doubt it. Gnomish
Nope.
isn't a language many people take.
No, I do not.
Yay! Jocelyn can almost participate.
Ellie's about to move out of the common area, so you can unmute. Well, it's okay. You can't speak Gnomish anyway. None of you can. Which, honestly, great for me. It means I can always pull this out. She whispers a few words, and then you hear the rattle of the chains as they all get pulled and go taut. And then, fairly smoothly, the chains begin to be pulled upward, and the slab of metal that you're on, metal or stone, or a bit of both, is pulled upward as this elevator begins to rise.
Knew it.
As it goes up, it does stop at the second floor. You do see it goes up further. You can make out at least 3 more sets of ceilings above, but it does stop at the second floor, where you see a fairly large, nice, put together little meeting room of sorts. There are various shelves, all with glass doors on them, set around the room. Some of them have what appears to be different, maybe alchemical reagents. There are a few gemstones here and there. You see one of them has a very beautiful circular or disc-shaped shield that tapers a little bit toward the front, where there is a blue gemstone set on the end of it, set behind one of the things of glass. Thicket, your eyes would be caught on what appears to be in one of these shelves that does have a lock on the front. Inside of it is what appears to be in 6 different vases, flowers made of ice.
Oh,
Whoa.
But as
I
you
thought he was gonna say something similar to a laser because he's a cat.
this would be a very dangerous room for Thicket to get distracted by a laser in.
Snacks?
And in the center of the room is a fairly large oval table with a variety of chairs, or with a bunch of fairly nice chairs around it. One especially nice chair on the far end.
It might have been my finger, not your nose. But anyway, it's gone now.
Let's see. Is there anything else? There would not be anything else in the room. It's just the...
No snacks?
Not that you can tell.
There.
Sorry, did you plan to breakfast?
Oh no, it's fine.
We don't normally wait.
You can tell Gambit woke up at the last possible second.
Sorry. When
Has full bedhead.
When I go fetch him, I could make some more coffee.
I mean, sure.
Coffee would be appreciated.
Of course. As she walks back over the elevator, whispering a few more words, it moves upward, disappearing out of sight.
That's a fun gadget.
And surely we have to be close to 5:15 soon. I'm. It's not really in the bard's repertoire to be awake early.
Clearly,
No,
you've
Doug
never had a
doesn't
job
speak.
that requires you to be up early.
Sorry, what was that, John?
I said clearly Gron's never had a job that requires him to be up early.
Certainly not. No. See, there's a reason why I did not end up becoming a ranger.
And Doug, despite his silence, does look fine.
He unmuted. Is he alive?
Are you there, Jack Doug?
I'm here.
Yay!
Yeah, he's
We thought
alive.
you, man.
I thought you might have fallen asleep or something.
Nope.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you hear the business dealings?
Halfway, honestly.
That's okay.
I was kind of in and out of the, I guess, range.
You are now in the, effectively a meeting room in the clock tower of Simians.
Okay.
A very nice room. I don't know how Doug feels about being up at 5:15.
I think he's pretty chill.
I think he's entirely indifferent to it, I would guess.
Yeah.
But as 5:15 rolls around, the elevator comes down. This time, 2 people are standing on it. You see Asuka, who has a tray that has a pot as well as several cups on it. To be more insulated types of cups. And though he also looks somewhat tired, let me grab the thing so I can properly describe him. You would see, though he looks tired and a bit haggard, an older-looking man. He looks late 50s, I would say. I don't know.
It's the chemical.
Somewhere in the 50s, I'm gonna say, is what he looks like. He's fairly nicely dressed in not quite a suit, but a collared shirt, nice and nice pants and shoes and everything. Both purple and sets of blue sashes across his chest and belt. In one of his hands is a fairly large mug with something steaming inside of it. His eyes look a bit on the tired side, but they look like the type of tired that's always kind of there. He has a fairly well-trimmed black beard, and his black hair with streaks of white throughout it, including one particularly prominent line on the front. He doesn't look much like a wizard, you might think, except that he wears a fairly large coat that has, on the front of it, a sun within a crescent moon as the connecting piece. That as the coat goes around, there are various stars set upon the back of it, and its high collar. But you can see as he walks toward the table, the inside of the coat, where the outside is lots of stars and everything, the inside looks like a hodgepodge of various pieces of cloth and designs that were all kind of just quilted together. You see this man.
Me.
Yes. That's basically Strange, bro. With what's his name? It's Joseph's coat of many colors.
Oh, I was thinking Alan Rickman, but Strange works too.
Did your mom make that cloak?
You could.
I was going to ask if he made it.
As he walks over.
Mom and grandma.
I mean, if you... No,
Did you make that yourself?
He looks up at you from his coffee. The coffee?
No, the cloak.
Ah. I enchanted it.
Oh.
But I'm sure we'll have
It's
plenty
got a
of
very
men.
interesting look to it. Very unique.
If our conversation goes long enough, I will tell you why. As he walks around the table and takes a seat in the large chair that as Asuka brings the coffee over, setting it down as she herself takes a seat on one of the sides. Is everyone sitting together, or are you spread out around the oval table? Did y'all sit down at all?
Yeah, I mean, Garon's probably standing so that he doesn't fall asleep.
I was told you are the
Is
messengers.
Asuka sitting down?
She will, yes.
I will sit next to Asuka.
I'll sit next to Thicket.
I'm told you are the messengers, that you're the ones that took care of Selzander.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes. Thank you for meeting with us, sir.
He glances at Asuka. I've been given reason why you are worth my attention and deserve the honor of meeting with someone of the court. If only to thank you for removing the insurgent before he became difficult.
What are we talking about?
The one before we met you.
Oh, okay.
So the reason why we asked for this, and Garon's kind of looking around to make sure that like he wants to give everyone enough time like between each like moment of thought that if they want to interrupt him, like they can, but they know that, or everybody should by this point know that Garon's plan is to just kind of tell them the truth and just see where the chips lay. Or I guess where the cards fall, or whatever kind of phrasing you want to use. But anyway, to not put too fine a point on it, we have been requested to I guess recover something that it is believed is in your possession in a negative way. Now,
Are you accusing me of theft, Evanstar?
not in the slightest. I don't know exactly what the situation is between you and your beloved wife, but I know that if you were to return to her the pieces of Avalon. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong thing. Sorry, that's the wrong note. I didn't say that. Garon didn't say that. I mean, Christopher did.
Thicket, you would see as Garon says, "Your beloved wife," and then continues on. There is a flash of surprise, a glance at Asuka, and then returns to his cold look.
Question:
In a moment.
Did we tell him our names, or did he just like?
Asuka did.
Oh, okay.
Asuka must have. Anyway, darn it! Why do I not have this note? The Mysteries of Time or whatever it is.
Mysteries of Starlight.
Mysteries of Starlight. Yes, that apparently, if you were to return the Mysteries of Starlight to your wife, it would be beneficial for everyone involved. So, if that is something that you're willing to do, I don't know. Again, don't know the situation. Not my place to say. She would like that book back, but if you did it, that would be an opportunity for you two to reconcile. Obviously, you have not had the best of relationships lately. I mean, it took quite a bit of sleuthing on our part.
Have you ever been married, Evanstar?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever been married, Evanstar?
No, sir. I am actually quite young. I watched my mother and father, and they desperately loved each other. So I only have the one relationship to understand about it. So I don't presume to know too much.
He reaches up and pinches the bridge of his nose.
He's done with us already.
Should you return my wife before the events of the Summer Lords, feel free to tell her that if she wants one of her things, she can ask for it herself.
That is not what was requested of us. She said by any means whatsoever. And honestly, I just don't want to make an enemy of either of you. And
He raises one of his eyebrows.
Maybe we shouldn't have said that.
By any means.
Again,
I just tipped him off. We're gonna steal it from him.
Do you presume my wife to view me as enemy?
Garon doesn't want to. Garon tried to make that very clear that he wants to help their relationship by having him do the right thing.
You presume my wife would treat me as an enemy?
I mean, have you guys spent time together in the last months or years? I don't know what your situation is. Has it been a long time since you've been with her? Like, even just to have tea?
The end of April.
Alright, so that's what, a month and a half?
Just under.
So, look, I don't know what your situation is, and it's not really my business. You're clearly capable and powerful. You wouldn't be the court wizard if you weren't. She's clearly capable and powerful. You guys could play each other back and forth all day long. I don't know what your situation is. You might know the best way to do it, but wouldn't it be possible that the most advantageous route for you to reconcile with her would be for you to submit yourself humbly to her in love? Maybe she wronged you. Maybe she doesn't even deserve it. But as a husband who values her, isn't that reason enough? I mean, you're welcome to have me roll anything with that, because I know I'm definitely trying to convince this dude.
Make a persuasion check.
All right, well, I'm doing the same thing I did last time. Skill empowerment. Hero point. So it's going to be 5 this time.
Did you just give yourself expertise?
Yeah.
That
I used another-
takes 2 points for expertise, I believe.
It should be 3 because we're 3.
You have 3 charges, and you can use 2 to gain expertise or 1 to gain proficiency.
Okay,
But you
2 to
did
gain
finish a long rest, so yes, you can. I
what I'm
forgot
saying.
about the regaining
Yeah.
of the points. Continue.
Do you see why I did it immediately?
That's smart
Because I
plan.
knew we were going to bed.
Smart
It's
plan,
almost like
smart
I
plan.
Hey, that's much better. There it is.
He stands up, leaving, effectively shoving the chair out of the way, leaving coffee on the table, and he will turn and walk over toward the back of the room. That as he walks over to it, 2 of the shelves, because the shelves or the cabinets are relatively far apart, shift closer to one another, leaving an opening in the wall that, as you see it shifts, seemingly almost from nowhere, the wall splits open and a window appears, looking outward toward the sunrise. And he looks out.
Can I like gauge what his mood is like right now? Like what? Sort of try to gauge what's going through his head.
I want to as well.
Both of you roll insight.
And Garon's all like,
Bad man pining for his wife.
it's so funny. And Garon's all like, I don't care. Do what we need you to do, bro. Yeah, this is nice. It looks like similar like to the water of the
Don
ocean.
can't tell. The thicket gets the odd impression that the upset seemingly feeling you got from a moment ago, like looking past it, it seems to be more manufactured. That he's putting up a front of annoyance, whereas in reality there's a large element of concern, some anxiety, and yeah, I guess longing would probably be the best third word to describe it.
What about pining? Is he pining?
Is there a joke here I don't know about besides just the normal definition of that word?
No, I just think that word is funny.
It is a good word.
Mr. Simeon,
It's over.
I don't really know what happened between you guys, and you don't have to share. But if there's any part of you that wants to resolve the things between you two, I know that not talking about it with her is not going to help. I know it's not exactly it doesn't exactly look good for her to send us to retrieve her book instead of trying herself. But I think if there's going to be any resolution, someone has to make the first move.
Garon looks over at Thicket with again just amazement. He's always impressed by him. You know, it's very possible that she only really wants the book because she really wants you.
I would like Garon to make a persuasion check with disadvantage. And Thicket to make one with advantage.
Oof. Alright, well, I mean, since I have the disage, I might as well try to get the extra the point. What is that? Okay, it's a 2.
I'm gonna hero point as well. Let me pull it up.
Alright, come on. Big money.
Okay.
Don't make me stop.
Persuasion with advantage.
Let's go, double 13s. Sorry if that was loud for anybody, but I was very excited about that.
Oh my gosh.
Double 7s.
I'm sorry, I took the luck. My bad.
It's over 10.
Glances at Garon before walking over and sitting back in his seat. In terms of chess, the first move has already been made. But it's an odd move for her.
If you treat your marriage like you do a game of chess,
I'm not
then
the
no
one.
wonder it's a bad marriage.
Dude,
Looks at you
that's-
for a
Garon just looks
moment.
like, damn it, like, how are you trying to kill yourself right now?
He looks
like
at
this
you.
is the most failed burn ever.
He looks at you and snaps his fingers, and then looks back at Thicket. You're an odd one. How old are you?
I get that a lot. I woke up a few months ago.
I wonder what the source of your wisdom is. Tell me. If you were confused about the actions someone you cared about has taken, what would you do? Thicket.
Well, it depends on what they did.
Garon whispers
But
slightly.
I
Might cast a spell on him.
am a big believer in communication. And I know that I definitely wouldn't not talk to them about it. I would try and ask for clarification. Try and reach an understanding.
And what if you believed you knew what was best for someone, and they disagreed?
I mean, we could sell them. There's places probably, but why don't we just have?
Well, I think that depends on the situation.
And what of you, Evan Star? You seem to have a lot to say. What would you do?
Yeah, forgive me for that. I'm pretty talkative. That's not an inaccurate statement. So honestly, if I truly care about someone, I'm willing to put up with a lot. You know, early in Thicket and I's friendship, he actually cast a spell on me that pinned me to a wall. So the fact that we're still together today shows you that all it really takes is what you're willing to do. Are you willing to communicate? Are you willing to push through the issues and the differences to remain connected, to remain in some level of friendship, relationship? Or is your pride such that it's more important than the person you claim to care about? It's not easy. It's not fun. I constantly was trying to not create an issue with Thicket. Thicket wouldn't have it. Thicket decided it was best to attack me.
That was my response to our very stark lack of communication.
Well, even so, the point is, you were willing to push through your issues with me, despite me not thinking that that was the right way to do so. And I was willing to push through my issues with you, perhaps despite you thinking that was not the best way for me to do so. Because at the end of the day, we valued one another. And value is something that can grow, or it can deteriorate. You love your wife, I think that's beautiful, but if you're not willing to sacrifice your pride, it's not much of a love to give. For all we know, again, it could be she really just was trying to reach out to you and didn't know how to let go of her pride.
I love how Garon keeps caveating everything with, but I don't know. I'd never had a relationship.
Hey, you gotta cover your bases, bro.
He's like, don't sue me. I might be wrong.
What did you say? What was that?
He's like, don't sue me. I might be wrong.
This
Yeah.
is not official medical advice. Please talk to your doctor before making any decisions.
I definitely have the Surgeon General's warning at the end of every statement. If it helps, she didn't directly tell us of the relationship that the two of you had, just that it was complicated.
We
We had
didn't
to do
know
a
that
lot
she was married until we got here.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of digging to find that out, and I tried to kind of look over at over at Thing and be like, "Don't say any more than that." Hopefully, Thing will pick it up, but it's like
that doesn't surprise me.
Perhaps people care about you and her enough to look past whatever small issues you may have.
Or pig.
Again, Garon's looking
I'm
over
sorry,
at him
did
like,
you just say pig?
big.
Big.
Oh, yes, that makes more sense.
Garon's like, whatever small issues you may have.
Yeah.
Or big.
Or pig.
Yeah, and Garon's
What?
looking over
Big.
like,
Oh.
ah! It's that GIF, that FTHHHPPPP. Stop!
He leans forward, sets his elbows on the table, and folds his hands in front of his mouth for a few moments. Did she express why she needed the book?
Not that I recall.
Nope.
Any of you?
Did she give you a deadline?
No.
I mean, didn't she technically?
No? What do you think? What do you remember that I don't?
Well, I thought she basically said by the like she's gonna be in Vacuo, isn't she?
If she said that, I don't remember. It's possible you're right, but I don't remember that. And if anything, if that's true, it's even more of the reason why the real that was not the book itself, but the person who, she really wanted the book from.
He leans back in his chair, taking his arms off the table. He grabs the coffee, takes a single sip. I've made up my mind. Is there anything else you all need?
Would you
I'm
mind enlightening
possessed
us?
by
as
a
to what you
Grim.
made your mind up to?
I heard two thoughts. One is to ask about my personal life. The other is about Grim. I'm going to go with Grim first.
Hi, I'm Thicket. I have Grim blood.
He glances over to Asuka. And how did you find this out?
Your wife.
Well,
I tried going into the library, but I couldn't walk through the door.
interesting. Kept you out.
Yeah.
It's a good thing my own protections aren't quite as niche as hers. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to walk into the clock tower. However, it seems you're just fine, at least relatively speaking, so you can't be full Grim. I can put you through the same tests, the same attempts to remove whatever this is, as I have tried for Miss Asuka here. I cannot make any promises of success.
It's worth a shot.
Firstly, then,
When, shoot, what's her name?
Sasha?
Yes. When Lady Sasha Hellion did the test on me, I had a vision of a lady with a white face and red markings.
that's
I don't know if you know anything about that. She didn't.
different from what Asuka's seen. Strange. Asuka looks up. Yes, all I saw during those moments was a void. To see something is peculiar. Firstly, he leans over and just touches your paw. And you feel magic wash over you for a moment. But you don't feel any different. That is a simple remove curse. I don't expect it will necessarily work, but it was worth a shot. Let's see. I will arrange, at your convenience, to have a Dispel Evil and Good spell cast upon you by the clerics of the church. If that doesn't work, as that's on the more powerful side, it is likely more complicated. Beyond that, other individual things, individual items, the a cleric casting spell magic on you would work. I'll continue to do research. Tell me about the face.
I have dispel magic.
Good.
You draw the face ticket?
I could make it out of ice. Yeah, I guess I could draw it too.
Let's see the ice version.
Thicket.
Thicket. Presumably does so. You'll look at the face as described before, though in this case it's just ice with indentations. It is a feminine face, porcelain white.
Isn't it made out of ice? How do we see color?
Well, I'm just saying what Thicket would describe to you.
Oh, got it.
To be fair, if it's thicker ice, it would look white. If it's thinner ice, it would look blue. Or clear, even. So it could have shades. Black and white.
I guess, yeah.
Like a black
It
and white old
is
movie.
A porcelain face.
We
that
lost
has-
We lost Thicket.
Oh no.
There's Thicket.
There we go. It is what Thicket would describe as a porcelain white face with vibrant red eyes and black eyebrows, effectively, though in this case unmoving, with these red lines, almost like roots, pushing their way toward the front of the face, coming from effectively the back or the sides, almost like veins. Strange. I don't immediately know anything of it, but I will do research. If you don't mind.
First image.
He will reach out to take the sculpture. Walk over and pull out a key. Unlock the same closet that has the frozen flowers. open it up, and set the face. And as he opens it up, you all feel a chill as a wave of cold air comes from that side of the room. As he sets the sculpture inside and closes it again and locks it back. We'll look
It's a heck
into
of
it.
a nice box.
Well, you can only keep frozen roses safe for so long unless they're in sub-zero temperatures.
Did your wife give you those flowers?
We found them together a long time ago. We
I
found
have
a lot
no
of
idea
things.
why this guy is being so forthcoming with his personal life. Makes no sense.
Yeah, maybe. You don't know the guy. So maybe it makes perfect sense for him.
It's also debatable how much of his personal life he's actually come forward with.
It's true.
Like, yes, me and my wife found frozen flowers. End of sentence.
Yeah, but it seems
Like,
like a
what
personal
do we
moment.
really know about his life at the moment?
Right? Exactly.
But that seems like a personal moment that you'd just be like, I like flowers? I don't know.
As he walks back over, I'll look into it for you, Thicket, and I'll send you a message should anything arise. I don't have much hope, but there may yet be some. Asuka mentioned something else you had to tell me about something that happened in Vane.
Oh, you mean the fellow that seemed to have control over a Grim?
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, if you talk to your wife, you might be able to learn a little bit more, but
Well, we didn't tell his wife.
what are you talking about? Yeah, she handled it.
It's
She took care of him.
yet with how much relationship advice we've given this guy.
Now think about it. Like, she took care of it, she said.
I guess.
Oh, right. I had forgotten. I'm sorry. Back a few moments. As he says, I'm sorry, what? As Gambit goes to say, I thought we told his wife, there's no sound.
Huh?
Gambit's mouth moves and no one hears anything.
Oh, nice.
That is awesome. That is so
Why?
great.
Oh goodness.
He just had silence cast on him. It's funny.
Pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is pretty great.
He said something he
That
didn't
means
like and he just
I
snapped
really, really struck a chord with him.
Who?
Yeah, it was supposed to make Gambit angry, but he's actually really happy because he knows he can frustrate him. He knew that bothers him.
Tell
Gambit,
me
you're...
about the man who can control Grim.
She said she took care of him. I don't know if that means dead or imprisoned, but
Talking about my
apparently,
wife.
yeah.
50-50.
And apparently he had like an orb, and it had like a speaking Grim of some sort. I wasn't actually there.
A
You'd have to
speaking
ask.
Grim?
I don't think it was speaking. It did capture Gambit though for a
Yeah,
little
he-
bit. Gambit got out though.
Gambit.
He
You might have
looks
to ask
over
Gambit.
at the silent Gambit.
Gambit's
He waves his
whistling
hand. And then as he waves his hand, the whistling starts. Tell me about the
what?
man. Tell me about the Grim.
Well, the Grim took over me, and I believe it should be Visions of the Future, and then I killed it. Or Doug killed it. I can't remember. And it was in this room, and the room looks like psychotic, and that it was saying something like end it all, yeah, I think he was using it to see the future.
He leans forward again, hands folded in front of his mouth. I need you to
It
draw
almost
this.
fall.
He
What?
pulls out a piece of paper from effectively the side of a small container in the side of his chair. He pulls out a piece of paper and a charcoal pen and slides them toward you. I need you to draw this for me.
Thicket
Okay.
makes another ice sculpture.
Unfortunately, I cannot sculpt eyes. Un momento, por
Thicket did see
favor.
it, so Thicket makes one. He looks
Oh.
at it. I've seen one of these before. I don't know if it's showing the future.
Well, it showed me visions of the Grim attacking the city, and then a few moments later, the Grim attacked the city.
See. And he said he could control it. Or was
I
it
don't know
the other
if he
way
could
around?
control it, but he had it contained. It could have been the other way around. They were definitely in cahoots.
Thank
That's a
you
big word.
for sharing this with me.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Is it silent again? Give it
No.
silent.
He just
Okay.
rolls his eyes. I'll look into it. This could be concerning, but it may... It's not something you all should worry about.
Honestly, if we're worried about anything, it's our severe lack of coin. Do you know it costs almost 1,000 gold pieces to rent the theater for one afternoon, and yet I don't know that I've ever seen 1,000 gold pieces at one time.
He waves his hand, and seemingly out of nowhere appears a large sack. Just pours it on the table. There you go. You've seen 1,000 gold pieces.
Oh, is that for me? Thank you. He
No.
immediately runs over to start picking it up.
He will just hold up his hand, swish his hand around, and the gold flies back into the bag, which then disappears.
Oh, now see, look, that's the whole point. So all you want to do is lord it over me. This entire city is all like, "Oh, look at all this money we have! Oh, aren't you so pathetic for being just an adventurer? Da da da, you dumb."
Are you okay?
Rod,
seem
I think you need
stressed.
a nap.
And that's coming from me.
He played a really good performance at a tavern, and he didn't get a lot of tips from it. He's still kind of bummed about it.
Not everything goes our way just because we do well.
Sure, that's fine. But I was under the impression that money was a difficult thing to come by in this world, and I come here and apparently, nope, it's just us.
I can relate. I was rather broke for a long time learning magic. You'll get there, probably. Or die first. That tends to be the way of adventurers. Preferably don't. But your life is your own.
That got awfully morbid awfully quickly.
Yeah, thanks for the encouragement.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Is there a reason you haven't just asked your uncle for money?
Oh, he doesn't know him.
Ah, that'll do it.
I mean, that's not the reason. Thanks though for that. No, I don't want to be given something. I want to earn it in some way. I just am very surprised that money flows around here like water, when for us it's been like rocks, an absolute desert, the driest, most cantankerous, breathless, exhausting thing I think I've ever had the displeasure of trying to interact with.
That's rough, buddy.
It's
Thicket
as if
raises
the
his
gods
hand.
themselves decided, you know what? We don't want you to have money.
Yes, Thicket?
Where did you guys find those flowers?
Well, it was a long time ago. We were up in Mantle, the continent to the north, dealing with Grim, and we found a cave full of these white crystals, what we now know is dust. But at the time we didn't, and turns out an element of stone shape can be used on them. And we made them. Brought them back. Of course, it seems the effect of stone shape was counter-effective to the continuation of the dust, as it is not as solid as it used to be. It's difficult to maintain its shape compared to how it once was.
Hey, Micah, while he's going over the story, can Garan actually thinks there might be some kind of emotional response here, like he's actually like longing kind of thing? Can I do an insight that I'll probably fail?
Insight. Think at your passive insight, you can tell.
Yep, I fail.
He is happy reminiscing. There's a smile does cross his face. Garan does not notice it. He's looking too deep. He can't see the forest through the trees.
That is on brand.
But yes. They're not stable anymore. That's why I have to keep them in the closet. But they once were. Time passes. Dust seems to be something that has a inconsistent form. It doesn't remain the way it is for as long as you'd like. Not as long as any other stone I've seen. It seems to be shifting, especially in the reaction of a soul.
What do you mean reacting to a soul?
Well, when compelled by the power of aura, dust can be utilized, transformed even, can affect one's semblance if one has one. It's reactive to whatever it means to be alive. The effect of the soul can even cause dust to combust. If you've never tried it, give it a shot. Something interesting might happen if you try to combine dust with the use of your own semblance.
No. Oh.
I've never had the pleasure. I never figured out mine. But many do.
He's never figured out his semblance?
There's a punch in your door.
That's so sad.
Punch?
Well, if there's nothing else in particular, I do have some things to attend to.
I had one question.
I fixed everyone.
Do you think that my Grim problem is gonna get worse over time?
I'm going to be honest. It is impossible to tell. You are one of two unique cases I've never seen before. I have no idea how it will progress. Asuka's has not changed beyond gaining a personality. I don't know if yours will do the same. I wish I could do more, but I cannot.
When did you say we could do the dispel?
I'll need a day or two to let them know, but at your convenience, I can speak with the church and get them to prepare it for you.
Should we come back to you and ask to schedule it, or go to the church and be like, hey, Simeon said we could?
Oh, it would be easier if you came to me or to Asuka.
Okay.
That would keep it simpler. But I do have things to attend to. There are quite a few townsfolk who would like to state their case before the court, myself included. So I must be on my way.
Wait a minute. Now, I know I'm not great with, social cues and all, but I've just been sitting here for no telling how long, and I feel like out of all of the things I've learned in the past couple months is that's not happening here. Like, I was told to say what you need to say when you want to say it. Like, and I've also been told you only need to say things once. And it seems like you haven't said anything, not even once.
Fair enough.
What? I'm so
I
confused.
believe I understand you. Is there something you'd like me to say once?
Well, I mean, you have yet to answer the personal questions, and
Are you gonna return the book?
I am going to.
Can is he telling the truth?
Inside.
Oh, I want on this train.
I mean,
I want on this train. Can I insight too?
sure, Gambit can insight.
I mean, I asked that
Thicket,
question
you're not
earlier.
totally sure. It's true, he did kind of ignore you.
can Doug do insight on this one just for last
Oh,
even though I know that he's going to roll
I
terribly.
think I might have.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Gambit
Gambit
doesn't
doesn't know.
John, he seems to be telling the truth.
That was great stereo.
That he is going to return the book?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Doug. You don't know? This guy doesn't say things clearly. So maybe he's telling the truth, or maybe he's just telling you what we want to hear. Yes, I'll return the book. Probably in a fantastical way.
Sophie. Yeah.
What do you mean by probably in a fantastical way?
Me and my wife take a lot of joy in magic. And not just the arcane, but magical moments that make you feel something. So I'll probably do it in a very dramatic, romantic way. I just have to think of how I'm going to do that.
So I'm even more confused. So you're going to give us the book in a romantic.
Oh, I'm not giving you the book.
He's not giving it to us. He's giving it to Sasha.
He's doing the romantic thing. He's doing the right thing.
Yes.
We're merely fulfilling the by any means necessary quota requirement that she set before us.
Okay, well,
If anything, I think that it will give her a little moment of pause to look at her own
Yeah, let's
hubris
just hope-
and help her to humble herself as well.
Let's just hope he's not actually lying, because then she'll be like down the road, she'll be like, "Why didn't you get the book for me?" And we'll be like, "We thought your husband was gonna." And then we'll be in trouble, so let's hope he's telling the truth.
Who knows? See. As he walks past, he steps onto the elevator, speaking in Gnomish, and it begins to move downward. Sasuke looks to you all. Oh, that went well.
Did she seem nervous?
She did.
He seems nice.
Yeah. He's great. Just a little stern sometimes.
so like, how do you work under someone that doesn't really say much of anything?
Because I don't say much of anything?
So then how do you learn?
Well, I don't think the lessons include asking about his romantic life. So I feel like it might be different.
That. And also, when we want to say something, we do. And if we don't, we don't. Days go by without either of us speaking a word in the clock tower. But Then we'll speak about all sorts of things. He knows all about my relationship with my family. Granted, that was fairly early on.
And do you know just as much about his?
I've heard a lot of stories of him traveling with Sasha, with Victoria. Apparently, he even worked with Uldrathel at one point. A lot of
I've
fantastic.
met Eldrathel. He's nice.
He is. He's very. He's even slower to speak than Simeon, which is impressive. There's lots of stories.
I stupid. Uldrathal is the guy who gave me pardon in his area, right?
Yup.
Okie dokie.
The guy that's basically the one that sent y'all on the whole 4 Keyblades mission. Who y'all haven't heard from in months. Well,
I hope he's alive.
I should see you
Honestly, yeah, I should probably leave before I say what I'm about to say.
No, you should just say it. That's the whole point we're here.
out. It's true.
Okay. I did not like that guy. From the moment he walked in, he was like, he acted like it was such a blessing for us to get just a sliver of his time. He had a superiority complex, I think.
I did not get that vibe at all.
Asuka shrugs.
Just me? Okay.
Sorry.
Also, seems like he abuses his power to only hear what he wants to hear, you know?
Anyone who gets to that high a position in the Queen's court has that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
They've usually earned or fought their way up there, so they feel they deserve probably that level of arrogance.
Maybe.
But
someone in power
that
shouldn't
with that
treat
arrogance,
anybody as
true, but with that
lesser
arrogance
than.
experience comes, at least a little wisdom, given that they had to work their way up to that position. So,
Yeah.
wisdom can be veiled by arrogance sometimes.
Well, pretty good breakfast.
We get to have breakfast with you?
If you're alright with that.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
As y'all leave the clock tower to go get breakfast and continue on with whatever the day holds. With later that morning, whatever legal agreement will be prepared and signed for the performance for another method of the party trying to get some capital together. They continue. We yeah. We shift along to a image of Shist. Of a quiet, I'm sorry, not Shist, Sheer. Of a quiet, dark hallway. A half-elven man, scraggy, somewhat disheveled, but slightly charming clothing, walking somewhat hurriedly down the hallway, heading further down it slopes, getting to a staircase and heading further down to whatever dungeons, holding cells, or otherwise is tucked beneath the city. We're gonna end there.
Wait, what? You mean we have meanwhiles going on?
I've done it a couple of
Meanwhile,
times.
back at the ranch,
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
I knew
Meanwhile,
you'd
Lord
get
Uldrafel's in prison.
Wait, Ultracel's in prison? Why would he be in prison?
What the stigma?
Oh my god.
What?
Don't you love sharing the same house with teenage boys? Or a teenage boy? They just said
No,
what?
I did not love it.
They didn't love it. That's what they said. Go away.
I love you guys.
Bye. There we go. Everyone gets 900 XP. Enjoy.
Whoa, he actually remembered that I was prompting.
I did. I like Simeon. He's a lot slower than Sasha in how he interacts, which is a fun combo to me.
I don't know how we got away with lecturing him about his relationship with his wife.
Good persuasion checks, because he was halfway to kicking you out.
Yeah.
He seems, yeah. Gambit thinks that he deserved it.
Maybe he did. Who knows? Y'all still don't really know what happened to cause all the issues.
I can guess.
I mean, they do live like
Yeah.
60 miles
Here-
apart, so
Here's my guess, so that I can say I told you so later. I think that Sasha is engaging in some self-destructive behaviors, and that Simeon is concerned for her, but is going about it in a very controlling manner that is overriding her her boundaries, and she's pushing back to that. And that's the reason for the fallout. So he's trying to call, she's, you know, not doing so great, and he's trying to help her, but in the wrong way. And that's the falling out. That's my prediction. If we'll ever figure out, who knows?
Maybe the book has something in it that she's trying to do that he disagrees with.
Yep.
And though it may not ever come up, because who knows, maybe. Depends on how much more y'all interact with him, how close y'all get with him. I find it so funny. And I'm trying to remember exactly what y'all said about his coat. To him, rather.
It looked like his grandma made it.
I don't think y'all
Or his
said that
mother
to
made it.
him, but you did say, like,
Yeah.
did
Well, I
you
asked
make
if he
that?
made it.
And he said he enchanted it. It's
I
a
didn't
new, it's a
insult
magic,
it. I said it was unique.
No, I just thought it was really funny with it looks like his mom or his grandma made it. So
Mhm.
it's gonna end up coming out with the book. I don't know if it's something y'all as players are going to end up using at any point, but it's gonna come out as an item when I release the player's companion and the campaign guide. It is a magical cloak called A Mother's Love.
Aww.
Can you put the image in the Discord?
I can't.
That's great.
So yes, his mom did in fact make it.
Hi.
Okay, let's see. Where are you? And if
Say so
did I
hi.
share Astoria? I did not. Let me go ahead and do Astoria. And where are you, Simeon? I'm going to go ahead and end the recording there on the YouTube side. Thanks for coming and hanging out, everyone. I appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Lightning.